Hello, and welcome to Night Court. There's so much to do in such little time, or is there so much time and so little? I don't know. I'm not Willy Wonka. But hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of Night Court. It's been an insane weekend, which, I got some fun stories for you all for when we get there. But I want to know how everybody's doing. How is everybody doing? Let me know. Strike that. Reverse it. I know that's a song. Flip something and reverse it. Hello. Oh my goodness. All y'all popping in. That's so great. It's good to see everybody. Hello, Melissa Montez. Hello. Let's see here. Who we got coming? Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's see. Hi, Ohio Lisa. Let's see. You have a brand new great grandson born Saturday afternoon. Congratulations. 7 pounds, 6 ounces. I'm pretty sure that's what I weighed when I was born too. I think so. Yeah, pretty close. A new 13th juror. I'll take it. Awesome. Congratulations. That is so exciting. Lisa, you know when you come into the chat, Hello, Pulpit. Hello, Lisa. Hello. I want a refund from the defense. I'm guessing that's from this morning, so that means that I have no idea what you're talking about. Because I'll tell you this much: the cross from the prosecution for Jodi is going to be choice. But hello, Sharon. How are you today? Let's see. Rocking the Kiss tee always, and by always I mean when I wear it. Absolutely. Oh man, it was awesome. I'll talk about that in a second. Hello, Annie. Oh, I missed you too. Hello, I vamos. Jaded, how you doing? I saw that you joined up with the 13th Juror Discord, the jury room. Welcome to that, and also welcome to the stream. Hello, Kelly. Hi, Tish. I missed you too. I'm back. Back streets back. All right. Let's see here. What else we got going on? Hello, Ricky Watson. I saw somebody said hello to Ricky. Hello, Nan. A balloon. Hi, Patches. Kimbers, Ohio. Hello. And you are not late. We just got started 4 minutes ago. Oh my gosh. Did anybody have a good time this weekend? Did you do anything? I know we've got the grandbaby born. Virginia's got her grandbaby born. What else? Did anybody do anything before I share my stories? You just let me know in the chat. Oh, no caffeine. Not tonight. I got to be pretty careful with that stuff. Combination of Vyvanse and caffeine's probably not a good idea. Or is it? Who knows? I don't know. I did nothing at all. It was great. Don't worry. I did enough for you. That's for sure. No sound. Are we having no sound? Check. Check 1, 2. Why don't they ever get past 3? Oh. Those are the best. That's the best when that happens. You know what's even better? When I read them in order. Ha! It was too hot. It was really, really, really warm. Sing us, hello, hello, 13th jurors. We're ever so happy to see your faces, where everybody knows your name. Ooh, that sounds fun. E-bikes are cool. Let's see what we got. What did I do? Yeah. If you're into like early metal rock, I know they're on Spotify. I'm sure they're everywhere else too. Then, but look up Budgie. They're a UK band tied to Lisa. And I'll leave it at that. But they're wonderful. I would say that they are probably some of the beginnings of metal, and a lot of people learn from them. So yes. It depends on how much. Here's the crazy part about caffeine. It only balances me out. I have never not fallen asleep at night drinking caffeine like 10 minutes before or an hour before. So I've learned that. That's how I knew that I had lovely, lovely ADHD. You took John Thomas to Taco Bell. He ordered a side salad. I didn't even know that was possible. But knowing John Thomas, he probably asked for it and made him do it. Also, hi, Dean. Hello. I hope Baby Justice is doing well. Let's see. So let me tell you a little bit about this weekend. Oh boy. Yeah, boy. Jaybird, welcome. Welcome. First Night Court Live. Caffeine is amazing. I agree. I mean, I can't really go without it in the morning times. So yes. Also, your name reminds me of the phrase "naked as a jaybird," which makes me chuckle, but also I love it. So this weekend was super busy. Obviously, Friday we didn't have night court. I appreciate all of you being like, "Is he okay?" So my family and I took the train. They had a great deal on tickets, but we took the train up to DC, and that was a good time. Washington DC. The train was awesome. I'd never actually ridden on Amtrak. I've done a lot of things like 21-hour flights to Okinawa, Japan, but never a train. And so I had a really good time. We had a good time. It only took like 2 hours to get up there, so that was great. And we left in the morning. So we were there all day long and walked about 8.5 miles. Whoop whoop. Which is a lot, especially for a 7 and a 4-year-old. It's a lot. But that being said, I have some funny stories. I have almost just gifted 10 memberships. Good grief. Also, thank you. Look, you gifted yourself a membership. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. So, oh, hi.
Hi. I just woke up from a nap and I looked at the clock and I was like, "Oh, yeah.
Oh no.
What day is it? What time is it?" I went and enjoyed some of the sun because court let out early today, and you know how the sun drains you anyway. And so I came back in. I was like, I'm just going to shut my eyes for a minute before night court, and that turned into like a 2.5 hour nap, and it was fantastic. But
I mean, it seems fantastic. I'd imagine so.
Yeah, I wanted to come in and say hi to all of our culties. I love y'all and I miss y'all. And everybody was asking about you today in day court, JT. Everybody missed you with your long weekend. So you were very missed. Everybody was wanting you.
I missed them, but I do have a couple of stories, which is going to be fun. Hi, Lucy. But before that, I have almost gifted 10 memberships, so I want to welcome our new folks. So I have almost gifted themselves. Brenda Meyer. Let's see here. Oh no, don't go away. Okay, Brenda Meyer. I'm not here, or am I? Honey Wheels, Melanie Thompson, Tamboree. TLC is me. Don't go chasing waterfalls. That's all I got to say. Brenda Ravencraft, Kyle Irish Okie, Petrify. Nope. Hold on. Oh man, there's still some open. I think there's still some open. I don't think that's all. Well, it might have been. Might have been 10. Well, anyways, thank you so much. Muchos gracias. Yeah, so story time. The train was great. We got to the Capitol first because that's when I had tickets to do it, and quickly learned that, well, we'd seen that you can't have water and food, but we assumed that bagged food in the backpack not coming out was fine. We were okay with pouring out our water. That was cool. And then we learned that the food in the backpack wasn't okay. And so we got out of line. We had just emptied our water bottles. And I was talking to Matthew. And by that, I mean Little Bruise Crime. See how I did that there? You can forget that I even said that name. I was talking to Little Bruise Crime, and then I hear from behind me, hey, come on over here. And I turn, and it's a Capitol Police officer. And that's enough to make like all butts clinch.
Oh, wow.
Fast. Your camera, is it your camera?
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
Lucy's barking, and the camera's going blurry, and everything is going to.
There it is. There you are, in all your glory. I want people to be able to see you. Anyways, so she was like, "Listen, get back in the line and tell them the food's for medical reasons. They can't ask you anything past that." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Are you sure?" Because I felt like this is a test. Like, is this a test of my ethics?
Yeah.
And she looked at me after I said, "Are you sure?" And at that point, I would have done literally anything she asked me to do with that look.
Yeah.
I was like, "You were definitely meant to be in the position you're in." And so we got through the first line, and they said food. We were like, "Yeah, we dumped out our water, but the food's medical." And we started going through the doors, and of course, there's the metal detectors and all that stuff. And the Capitol Police officer was like, "Hey, listen, if they stop you, you point to me and you tell them that I said you can go through." And I was like, I'm so happy. First off, I was asked to lie by a police officer, but second, they backed me up. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. So Virginia, so medical, like, some people have low blood sugar. There's diabetes. There's all that kind of stuff. And I don't mean to make light of that, but we definitely had the kids there. We had tickets, and that police officer asked me to say it, so I did.
They really can't ask you anything after that, though. Like, a lot of places won't let you take a person. That's like a big thing at like concerts and, sporting things and stuff like that. And without going into too much detail about, I have a lot of medical stuff, and I have to carry. I can never leave home without a bag with a whole bunch of crap in it, because
Sure.
I have to have it. I have permanent damage to my body from cancer, and so I have to have it with me. So anytime we go into a concerting like that, they send people away. You can't have a bag. You have to go, put it in your car or whatever. And all I say is, and as you're going through metal detectors and stuff, I'm like, I have a medical bag, and they're like, okay, come on in. And they aren't allowed to ask me anything. They don't look at
Sure.
it. They don't anything. So, and my friends all think I'm faking it. They're like, how do you do that? My like close friends, the ones that know. But like, it was sometimes like we went to that music festival at the beginning of last month, and it was the same thing. Like, they were sending people away, and with me, like, they put me on through, like, don't do anything. And so some of the people that I didn't really know that well that were with our group were like, how'd you do that? Did you fake that? Is that a lie? I'm like, no, it really is a medical thing. But they're not allowed to ask you anything else about it. So
yeah. Yeah, but see, my friends aren't Capitol Police officers.
That's true.
So definitely, listen, if they gave me that I was going to, so I could show my kids the Capitol. I personally had never been there. Now, in the past, I have a relation to me close to me who had a job at the White House, and when I was a kid, and I was able to go many times and hang out with like Socks the cat, and the carpets were. It was really cool, right?
Yeah.
And that's a story for another time. However, I'd never been to the Capitol, and so we went in, and it was really cool. A lot of cool stuff there. When we were down in the original like House of Reps room with all the statues, Kevin McCarthy decided he wanted to pass by, which was fascinating. He's shorter than me, so if you think Kevin McCarthy's tall, he's not. He's 5'10", which is not really short. It's average, but it does happen to be shorter than me. And I would say that about anybody that passed by. But he was on his way to pass the defense spending bill. This is not political. This is just what they were doing that day. And so, but when we were in the rotunda, which is amazing, and apparently without the bottom piece of the Statue of Liberty, you can fit the entire Statue of Liberty in the rotunda of the Capitol.
Oh, wow.
That is a fascinating stat that I didn't know about. But so around the rotunda are, and I'll post some of the pictures on our YouTube so people can see it. But there's one massive painting, and it is of the English surrender to Washington at Yorktown. And on the right hand side is a horse, and to the right of him is Alexander Hamilton, right? And so my child, my youngest, really likes the musical, and no 4-year-old should be able to memorize that kind of a musical, but he has, because wow,
that's amazing.
Yeah, so we went down, we come back up. I totally split away from the tour group because if you know me, I ask for forgiveness rather than permission.
Right.
And I wanted to show him the painting because he's 4. He wasn't paying attention when it was pointed out the first time. And so I took him over, and I said, this is Hamilton right next to the horse. And he said, really? I said, yeah. He's like, there? I said, yeah. And now he's only ever seen the musical, right? And all he knows are the people who play the character, the real life people in the musical.
Yeah.
So he only knows David Diggs as Lafayette. And he doesn't ask, where is Lafayette? Out loud, in a very, very echoous chamber of the rotunda, he goes, where's the black guy?
Oh, God. Oh.
And there's no problem to that, right? This is what he knows. But if out of context, if you don't understand my child or us,
yeah,
that probably sounded weird. And of course, to the 80 people who are in there on a tour, probably sounded pretty weird. I said, I'll tell you when you're older. And I walked away.
Aww.
And we left. JM, he is adorable. That's for sure. But I'm also biased. And so that was fun. Well, I wondered the same thing. Where's Kathy? Oh my God. You started laughing, and I was like, well, that was delayed. And then I saw the comment, and that was it. I was done.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Kathy,
I love you so much. So much.
Kathy and her emotional support fried chicken. Oh gosh.
So we did that, and we hit the National Museum, the Museum of Natural History, which the kids absolutely loved. And I made sure before everything closed, we went to the archives so they could see the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, which of course is just a piece of paper to them. But Matthew happened to be wearing a Capitol Police sticker badge, and the guy who was at the archives, just this lovely security gentleman, just had so much fun with him while we were in line. So it was just fun. It was a good time all around. Exhausting, but a good time.
You have to post some pictures. I want to see. I want to see all this stuff. It sounds like you had a big weekend though. That's fun. It's cool to do, to have those experiences with the kids too, and they're when they're young, and see show them the world and all the different things, and see their reactions, because I think that when we take our kids to do things like that, it makes us look at it with fresh eyes, like we're looking at it through through their excitement, which is always kind of cool too. It's a really cool thing. That sounds like y'all had a lot of fun.
It is one of my favorite things. Now, we spent the majority of the time at Natural History Museum, but let's be honest, the only other place they'd really probably enjoy at the moment is the Air and Space Museum, which we'll go to. But they don't like the art museums like Dad does.
Yeah.
But neither does Mrs. Bruce Crimes.
Oh, really?
I'm kind of on my own on that one.
Yeah.
Which is fine. We all have our own things. But between that and the mascotting the next day and working on my car, which is weird to say. It's a weird sentence. That should never come out of my mouth, but...
Did you wear a wig while you were working on it?
I should have. The first thing I did, which was changing the ignition coils and spark plugs, was the easiest thing, which was awesome, and it sounds way more impressive than it actually is. Changing the oil, on the other hand, I almost had an Exxon Valdez moment, in which... Truly, note to self: open the cap to vent the oil pan, so that the oil goes in the oil pan versus.
Yeah.
No worries, I took care of it. But yes, and it was very humid. Anyways, hot and humid, long day. Thank you so much for listening to my stories.
I love your stories. I love them.
But what were you up to this weekend?
Well, I have made a promise to myself, because I get so burnt out. I have made a promise to myself not to work on the weekends unless, like, when we do our WTF show, I'll do that on Sunday. But this Sunday we both agreed, like, with everything that's been going on, we're not going to do it this Sunday. So Friday, I went to a birthday dinner with one of my friends, and it was so much fun. I was exhausted. I stayed up all night Thursday night,
prepping,
literally zero sleep, prepping for Friday. And then Friday ended up, we did the stream or whatever, and I was so tired. So I was like, looking at the clock when we finished, I was like, okay, I'm going to just take an hour and a half, 2 hour nap before I go out. So I'm thinking I'm going to be like dead. But then, you get around your girlfriends and like, become like, look, girlfriends and a martini and I'm good. So we were at this restaurant, and it's this beautiful restaurant on the beach. Best fish tacos, best black and mahi tacos ever. So we're sitting out there, and we have like this long table. It's a group of people, and we have the table right next to or behind us is like another long table. So I think we had like, maybe 10 to 15 people. So did they, but they're a bunch of college kids, and we're a bunch of, like our group is all in, like 30s and 40s or whatever. And so the college kids are behind us, and they're there on vacation, and they start singing Backstreet Boys, and they're like singing the song, and they get to the point, and like as they're going through the first verse or whatever, they're all kind of getting like more giggly and excited or whatever, and they get to the point, and it gets to that point, and I'm like, at this point I'm 2 martinis deep, and I'm like, tell me why, and I start clapping, and then a heartache. Yes. So then our table starts doing the tell me why and clapping. They get excited because these crazy old people next to them are singing. And then, the whole deck ends up singing the song. We go through the entire song, and as we're going, everybody like starts getting more and more. There, somebody at my table caught the very end of it on video, but I would give anything to have that whole video. But it was so much fun, and afterwards they were like, oh, that was so cool, that was so funny, and I was like, don't be trying to sing our generation songs and not expect us to come in and take over, But
right,
but. It was so funny. I would give anything to have that entire video,
oh man.
But at least they got the finale of it. But it was so much fun. And then, the rest of the weekend, I got to relax. I got to put my new desk together, get my whole setup right here done, and just get some stuff around here that I have been ignoring, like my 28 loads of laundry, for example. So it was a good weekend.
It was. So really, what you're saying is, every night out with Brandi and a martini and friends is karaoke night.
Basically, look, we will turn anything into a karaoke bar. Like, you just, all you need is a martini and a song in your head, and you go for it. But
that should be on a shirt, possibly on a board.
yeah.
A piece of like shiplap that's on the wall. It should be.
Oh yeah, it was funny. And then one of the kids came over and was asking me for my number to send, because one of them got a video too, and so he was going to send it. And so it was funny how it happened, because the kid is probably my kid's age, like he's probably 20 years old, 20, early 20s. And so he asked for my number, and then my friends, who are all a-holes, are like, "Oh, Cougar Brandy's getting some digits," and like start, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" So like, and I felt so bad for the kid. I was like, you know what? Like, just airdrop it to me, like that way, But it was funny. My friends we had a blast.
You went and passed digits and straight to airdrop. You know what the kids say?
What? Is
Nothing.
that a thing?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
I don't know what the kids say. I'm not cool anymore. Tell me what I missed.
I have no idea whatsoever. Not a clue.
Oh, gosh, it was funny.
Real quick before I forget, should we do the top 3?
Yeah.
Let's do the top 3.
All right.
And everybody's going to let me know if you can't hear anything. I know that for a fact. Can you hear it?
Yep.
I'm laughing at petrified.
You know what the kids say. Well, that is quite literally
what they said.
what the kid said. Yeah.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Congrats to all of you who congrats to the top 3. I appreciate you and your willingness to be here early. It wasn't as early as I had initially thought, because I got on the computer and was like, where's the stream? It was up to me to make it public. Oops. I had that moment. But yeah, congrats to you all. So day court ended early. And
day court is going to drive me to drink.
Prosecution ended today?
Yep, the state rested.
Okay.
It was not it. I'm so glad this trial's almost over. I really am. This one has taken a toll on me. I thought that the Travis Rudolph trial took a toll on me.
No.
And it triggered some things in me because of the victim blaming and stuff like that. And it made me angry and, all that. But that was one of those things that it did not take a toll on me the way that this one has, because of all of the outside stuff involved in this one has been a freaking nightmare. I'll be happy to move on to something else.
We'll just say that.
Yeah, I'll be happy to move on to something else. It's too much to deal with. So we've got I'm actually about to record the members only recap.
Oh, nice.
And then which should be a short one today. So I'm going to record that and then be done. And tomorrow we start with defense. But I think they said defense only has 2 witnesses, and then they're going to do closing arguments on Wednesday, and then they are sequestering the jury during deliberations.
Ooh. So, well, I mean,
I don't blame them.
I don't either.
I know that stinks for the jury, and I'm sorry that, they have drugged this out the way that they have. Defense has drugged this out, so much. And I can go ahead and tell y'all, anytime I say anything about defense, that's negative. My stuff blows up. I've gotten death threats. I'm ready for this trial to be over. It's BS. I like to watch the justice system and whatever justice looks like. I don't care if you like somebody's music. I don't care. That's not why we're here. We're here to watch the justice system. So, that's one thing about covering public figures, because, if you have somebody that's on trial and you already like that person, then you don't care about, looking at different facts. And I'm not saying, this whole time, like, having, said the entire time, like, well, we haven't heard defense yet. We haven't heard this yet. We haven't heard whatever. It doesn't matter. You can say one bad thing and my, stuff floods. It's a lot of BS covering a public figure on trial.
I have a sound effect for that.
Do you?
And it's this one.
In the dungeon! Troll in the dungeon!
There's always a troll in the dungeon.
Always a troll in the dungeon. It's just...
I'm actually really surprised they didn't sequester the jury the whole time, to be honest with you. This was pretty public for the local area, correct?
Yeah. I mean, he's where it happened is not where he's from, but he's not from too far from there, so he's from Gifford, Florida, but he's not too far from there. So, and he did a lot of shows in the area.
Right.
A lot of them in like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Miami's only about, this is all South Florida area, like Miami,
city where the heat is on all night on the beach at the break of dawn.
You could be the newest YNW member. Look at you singing.
Yeah, Will Smith lyrics.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just it's one of those things where there are a lot of people in the area who know who he is. But talking to a lot of locals and stuff from where he's from, there's a lot of people who, from where he's actually from, everything that I've heard from every single person who actually lives like in, hometown area, like Vero Beach and Gifford and stuff like that, have said, he's not welcome back there. They all believe he did it. Nobody wants him back in the area. They've already, Bortland's dad was attacked. He was shot 3 times,
Jeez.
Retaliation for this. So if you see like any of like his actual local stuff, like every single one that I've talked to believes that he's, guilty and not welcome back there. That's what I've heard from every single person in the area. Now, when you talk to like the Fort Lauderdale people in more of that area, that's not where he's from, but that's where he was living. That's where this, all happened, was Miramar. And that's a little bit more split, but still people knew who he was. He was a public figure. He was kind of up and coming. He was getting, everybody, this is exactly what I keep hearing. Everybody saying he cannot go back home. If he's acquitted, he cannot go back home. It's just, there's a lot of emotions involved in all of this. And, Portland's dad's in a wheelchair now. So, there's a lot of emotions involved in this. And I am also surprised that they didn't sequester them during this, because of the level of witness tampering, that has happened up to this point with, people not, suddenly not wanting to talk anymore and, being paid off and, all of these allegations and all of these things that, people have said. So it's just, this one has been a big mess and I'm ready for it to be over. So.
I wish, I haven't seen a lot of it. I'll be the first one to admit that, but I sure wish the judge would do more.
Oh gosh, me too.
He is a bump on a log.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
So
there's been so many opportunities for him to take control of things. And, the defense has drugged this out. Their whole thing about Raven being sick, she wasn't sick. Oh, and they couldn't possibly carry on without her. Oh, she contributed so much. She doesn't look at any of the stuff when they're entering it into evidence. She doesn't, she doesn't cross-examine anybody. She sits there and laughs with Melly. That's what she does. Yep. So, for them to postpone court for another, to give another 4-day weekend or whatever, like, to dismiss early and then give the next day off and, not come back till today. For what? What did she do? What did she contribute today? There was nothing she contributed. So it's like, that was a stall tactic, and we all called it. And now we saw the truth today that it was a stall tactic. They're bringing out two witnesses. One of them is Agent Collins from the FBI, which I'm glad to, they want to bring him back. He was a great witness. He's very knowledgeable. Spoiled by how judgment. He had control of it, and I think that, that this judge just doesn't. And this is one of those things where, I look for, I handle facts and truth and the whole picture. I want to know the whole picture. I want to know the court documents. I want to know this and this and this. If something's a rumor, I will tell you it's a rumor. I'm very particular about that, but I'm also very opinionated. Shocker. That may come as a surprise to literally nobody, but I'm very opinionated. and I say what's on my mind. That's the whole reason, that we're here. When we're watching something, we say what we're thinking about it. And this is the first time I've dealt with being attacked the way that I am over just any opinion that I have that goes against a fan. And I'm ready to be done with it. I really am.
Yeah. The more trolls than ever have seeped out of the woodwork. This is, and I think you and I both know that this was bound to happen at some point.
Yeah.
However, there's a difference between trolls and threats, right?
Yeah.
Trolls want a reaction. How do I say? And it's night court. Assholes go after threats. I don't mind saying that. I'll say that one thing. So, I can't abide. The dude does not abide.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that's hitting you like it is. I can't say that Jodi's reached out to me.
Yet.
Yet.
We're almost there, though. I see finish line.
Shade of it all.
Shade of it all.
I can't wait to get my stream deck up and going. I've been watching videos on how to do some different stuff, so I'm excited to get it up and going too. So I'm gonna have my I'm gonna get these people. Next death threat I get, I'm gonna be like, woo woo. That's the sound of the police. I'm gonna be like, coming for you. I'm gonna have all my stuff ready. But.
I wanted to say, and I think you saw this today too, Brandi, that Chad Daybell is having a hearing. Well, Lisa calls him Chad Daybell End, which I actually really like. Is having a hearing Thursday. The defense attorney filed motion asking for transcript and exhibits from the Lori Vallow Daybell trial, which I don't know how we didn't think about this, but really it's Lori VD, which makes me chuckle. If you think about that. I'm sad that it made... from the VD trial. It's a Zoom at 9:30 a.m. their time. Nate Eaton said that he submitted a request for Judge Boyce to live stream the proceeding, but we all know how he is with that. So we'll see what happens. But the storm is coming. But yeah, so that's happening. That's happening. I agree. He is toast for sure. But it'll be interesting as soon as when it happens. The storm brings peace. Nicely done. Nicely done. I promise we will stop as soon as this is over, but it's his fault. I'm so sorry. Sorry, not sorry, but also sorry. So I'm interested to see what happens. If it is live streamed, I know you'll probably pick it up for Friday, or you may just show it on Thursday. And I might not recap it, but re-show it on Friday night just for all the late night folks. But quite interesting. I have a feeling it won't be very long. So
no, I don't think so either.
Pun intended.
Ew.
Night court,
Yeah,
baby.
this has ruined storms for me. Like living here, like there's nothing more amazingly just relaxing than a beach storm, and I can't even enjoy them now. Thank you, Chad Daybell. He has ruined that for me.
The other day, I was listening to a live album, as I want to do, of REO Speedwagon, and the very last song that they always play is "Riding the Storm Out," and that has a very different meaning now. And I don't think Kevin Cronin meant it in that fashion. I very much know he wasn't or didn't. So,
Oh my gosh, ew.
Yeah, the storm's coming already.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
did you hear about the recovery addicts case today? You know how we talk about the where every single time the state rests, the defense will ask for a directed verdict, like the judgment of acquittal. They granted it for him. This is the cold case, Alyssa Attorney, or it's Alyssa was the girl's name, right? And they granted it. They dismissed the charges and had him released. So
wow.
I was shocked because you very rarely see that, but I haven't had a chance to watch everything. So I
guess this is a case of the old Wayne Gretzky quote: "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." Well, they took it and they got it.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything about it. I just haven't had time to keep up with everything. But wow. Just wow.
It's not something that you see. The first time I was expecting to see that was on Travis Rudolph. It's just not something that you very rarely see it. So for it to be dismissed. See, this is what I've heard from a bunch of people too. And like I said, I haven't had a chance to watch it. I'll pop over with RA, and I like every single stream he does. I'll go in and make sure I like it and support him.
Mm-hmm.
But with our schedules right now, I haven't been able to watch. So I've only seen bits and pieces. But this is what I've heard too, that there was a lot of stuff that they couldn't bring in. So if you can't bring it in, the jury can't see it.
Yeah.
So if they don't have enough of the stuff that they can bring in. But for those of y'all who watched it, what is your general consensus? Like, do you think that he's guilty, or do you think that they've made the right decision and, threw it out that he's innocent? I'm curious, but that's crazy though, huh? We looked into Shabusiness because that's the next one that was on the agenda starting next week. We're supposed to start that one on Monday. They did do a psych evaluation with her. They said that the psychologist said that psychiatrist said she's not. They don't think that she's able to, go through trial, knowing and understanding what everything is. So we'll find out what the judge says on Friday. I think they have another hearing to find that out. So we'll find that out. But if they go forward with the trial, that's going to be our next one. And if not, then we're going to look into some other stuff. But
somebody said something that reminded me that there was a post from Eric Bland, and that was that Mallory Beach, her family got $15 million in a settlement.
Yes.
I don't know how much they'll actually get. Hopefully all of it, but
yeah, Parker's and they ended up settling yesterday, and I because they had dropped Paul from and this is the boat crash case. This is the one that we've heard about a million times. Going through
all the documentaries,
all the everything, the entire trial, all the documentaries, all the everything has all mentioned the boat crash case. So this is the boat crash case. Buster was dropped off of it because at this point he's been through so much. He's gone through whatever he's kind of paid a major price. Look at what all he's had to go through. So I have no I agree with that, Sydney. So it was Parker's and Greg Parker from the gas station, and then Alex Murdoch. The restaurant where they had gone and gotten the shots and all that, they settled
Mm-hmm.
like almost immediately. So it was Parker's and Murdoch that was Alex that were left on this one. And they actually, the trial was scheduled for next month, but they were able to settle yesterday. So the Beach family gets $15 million. Connor Cook gets, I think, $1 million for his injuries that he had, because he had like the broken jaw and everything. So the families, can thankfully put this part behind them.
I like that. Zero Dark Tinsley.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Eric had a great post, so
Yeah, it's good, and it's a long time coming. And I texted Mark and told him, great job, congratulations. I would like to invite him to come on, when things settle down a little bit, and hear his perspective into everything too. He's had the Beach family's back, from the beginning, and he's a good dude. He's put in a lot of work for them, wanting to help them, but also help other people. I mean, there's a lot of people who are complicit in, this, allowing the underage drinking stuff to happen, for so long. And so it's
usually where there's one guilty party, there's probably another 50.
Yeah.
Especially in these kind of cases. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. Yep. So that's a good one.
Yeah.
And plus, he's a trial daddy.
That's very true.
Tinsley's
Is he aware? Have you made him aware?
Oh yeah, I told him. I haven't sent him the picture, but he's Tinsel Tinsley. He's a trial daddy for December. Tinsel Tinsley is what they're calling him. So funny. But,
I love that so much.
Yeah.
So much.
I love that it's made its way to like celebrities and stuff. Like, I mean, they were like Boom, being recognized at Essence Festival, as a trial daddy. Like, that's something that I think is really cool. Like, look at what we started. Look at what our little community has done.
It's we started a snowball at the top of a snowy cliff, and it has now rolled and rolled.
I love it.
And we're not responsible for any damage that it might cause. I did want to mention to everybody, hey, we have a Discord if you haven't heard, and it is a it's a social server where we talk, we chat, we talk about the show, and really we just have a good time in there. There's also watch parties and events, and just we have funsies. It's lovely. So feel free to join the Discord. I'm sure if they haven't already, one of our mods will put in the command. That's the word for it. Maybe I should have had caffeine. The command. And as a reminder, AGTD as the gavel drops, or ATGD. Good grief. Still Doc Central. Still the Research Central. This is just a social server that was made with love by you for you. So it's a love letter to you all. Feel free to join up. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for that massive intro that we just did.
I know it was a massive intro, but man, like I miss us. I know that we have, our schedules are crazy. So, I've been doing day court and you've been doing night court and stuff, but I miss us doing everything together. So
I do too.
I'm glad that I got to, I like these moments where we get to hang out together with the culties and, like old times.
I know. One day. Maybe
day.
maybe Chad's trial will be audio again. I mean, I don't put it past the judge, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see
one thing I'll say about our very first trial being Lori Vallow and being only audio, it set the bar because there was so much work that went into it, doing the graphics and having to, find visually, like making Idaho a urinal and whatnot, like finding ways to make, oh yeah, I saw this. That was hilarious. But all the work that went into it, because there was no video, has made everything else that we've had to do, at least, not quite so That's why I say not quite so hard, but it's still a lot of freaking work.
It's a lot of work. Yeah, no matter what it is, it's a lot of work. But that first trial was a massive hurdle
Yeah.
to keep it interesting for everybody.
Yeah.
And that allowed us to be even better prepared for the next stuff.
Yeah.
And since we didn't have to prep any, or you haven't had to, well, you've prepped a lot, but what I'm saying is you didn't have to prep any visuals for the audio. You could
Right.
focus on the other stuff that you have been able to prep for everybody, which
Yeah.
every single person in this chat has said something about you and your charts and your awesome prep. So we love you. I love you. You know I love you. Yeah.
Thank y'all. I love y'all too.
See what I'm saying? It's friggin' incredible. It
Thank you.
absolutely is. I wish I said this a couple of times. I wish I thought like you did in that fashion. But I'm good for jokes. So
Thank you. You know, I'm a very visual learner, so I like to put it, and I like to, you know, base my opinions on, you know, like data, and I like to hear everything and, you know, see everything, and then make my decisions. So,
Terry,
hi Terry. I
truly, that trial was how we got to know a lot of you folks.
Yes.
On many levels, and I am so grateful for that. And we've met so many more along the way. So, yeah.
That was something.
Right on time. By the way, if anybody can see that, that is Jennifer's Great Dane in the "This Is My Angry hoodie," and I love that photo of that dog so much, so much. And we did. It was intense. It was emotional. I remember that first time where we were like, "This is going to be a really hard day, so let's ask for dog pictures." And you all delivered. I had like 60 slides of dog pictures. Man, it just really set up it is a horrible case, and it is a horrible outcome for that family. I'm glad she's gone for good, but I will say this: it definitely helped to build the community here, and I'm grateful to that for sure.
Yeah,
so
it was great. You know, it was one of those things, like, we were truly, that trial I think shows really what we're all about here at 13th Juror, because, you know, we laughed at the moments where we could laugh. We made fun of John Thomas and, you know, and Chad Daybell and all of their ridiculousness.
Right.
You know, we were able to laugh in those moments, but then we all cried together, you know, like when they were talking about, you know, those poor babies and what, you know, what they had to go through. Like, and I think that the emotional roller coaster that we go through with these trials, the way that we all went through that together, is exactly what I envisioned when I, you know, wanted to even do this in the first place, because I want to make fun of the stupid stuff and enjoy the shit show that is. But I also want to, I only want to go through these trials in a way that we can honor the victims. And, you know, like, there's no appropriate time to laugh about any of that stuff, you know, and like to have the seriousness, you know, of the gravity of what that part is. And I think that our community, you know, does that so well. We balance that so well.
Yeah, it definitely helped us to find that balance. She's Leonard Amber said I rage mowed my lawn during that trial. It's the best. It was the first time I was in a wig.
That's true. Oh my God, that was the best moment of my life.
And now I have my wig wall.
My obnoxious laugh, I could not even catch my breath. And that was, you were such a good sport too, because that was just like, you know, an off the wall idea that, you know, and you were such a good sport about it, and you nailed it. So.
I guarantee you, when Brandi sent me the text saying, "What about you in a wig?" she did not expect me to go, "I'll go to the attic and check if I have one."
I did not. I was like, this would be really funny. And you were like, BRB, I'm going to check the attic. Yeah. So funny. So funny.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh. And knowing nothing about Harry Potter, y'all had to experience JT reading those gross. That was not gross. That was romantic. It's the romance.
It puts the tick in romantic.
Yeah.
Just sucked the life out of me.
Oh, so gross. So gross.
So gross.
But
Great.
also amazing.
Mhm. Well, we are getting to the point in Jodi's testimony where we are gonna hit the cross from the prosecution soon, and that is going to be a ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to know what your thoughts were seeing your video on Peter's channel.
My first thought was, oh crap, what all did I say? You know, the thing is, like, I react like I'm just hanging out with y'all, like y'all are my friends and we're all just hanging out watching this. I am not an attorney. I have a talent for taking evidence, putting it all together and finding patterns and finding, you know, I have a talent for that. But I'm not a lawyer. So all of my reactions are from like just me reacting naturally to some of this stuff. So, you know, I watch him every single, you know, recap that he puts out and stuff. I love him. I think he's fantastic, and he's so knowledgeable about the law. He's not you know, biased one way or the other. So I like to hear him just break down the law part of it. So I have my reactions based on just whatever the heck is going through my psychotic mind in the moment. But then I always watch him for like the lawyer, you know, aspect of it, the breakdown.
Sure.
So when he pulls it up, and I'm never in chat because by the time I always watch, I'm so done with sitting at my computer chatting. So I usually will put it on my TV and like I'll, you know, do other things around here, whatever, as I'm, you know, watching. So I had on my TV and I heard my name and I was like, and I'm like looking like, no, please, no, please, no, please, no. Like, and I
Oh
look,
yeah,
and I'm
oh
like,
yeah, oh yeah.
I'm thinking like, what? And then I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, like I give all of, you know, these off the wall opinions, like just, and I say whatever comes out of my mouth. And then sometimes when I've had to rewatch our stuff, I have stayed at Holiday Inn Express and I have played a lawyer on YouTube. So it's basically the same thing. But like I say, you know, all these off the wall things. And some of the times when I'm having to rewatch things for like, if we're pulling clips for, you know, WTF or whatever, like some stuff I'm like, man, I don't even remember saying that. I really felt it in the moment, but I don't even remember saying that. So my first thought was, oh crap, like what did I say? You know, like he's got such a big following and like he's, you know, he does such a good job at like breaking it down in such like an adulty way. And then here I am like, oh my God, this idiot is, you know. So I was worried about what I said, but no, it was good. It was funny. But that was my first thought was, crap, what all did I say?
As soon as I'm done with like night court or whatever we're doing, I'll have some messages from the mods in the Discord and they'll mention something that I've said and I'll be like, I literally don't remember that.
Yeah.
At all.
No.
And that's obvious that I talk too much. That's what that means. But I also have a real crap memory for anything but song lyrics and musicals. So
like there are truly things that I say that I don't have a filter a lot of times. And like you can tell how awkward it is for me when I'm trying to filter myself because I stutter over my words and I can't get anything out and you can still see it on my face anyway. So you can tell like when I'm trying to filter myself and then I finally just give up. I'm like, you know what, just never mind. Because I am so bad at filtering what I think that I can't even make myself do it. So when I give my reactions and my thoughts, like these are pure reactions and thoughts, you know, based on whatever the heck is going on in this crazy brain of mine. And I don't think about it much. And then like, sometimes I'm like, did I say that? Did I say that? I mean, I remember thinking it, but I was like, oh, I'm surprised I actually said that, you know?
My only response to you is that's why we love you. I mean, come on now.
I appreciate that. And my facial expressions, like people have, you know, it's become like this huge joke. Like if I, you know, if I don't say it, my face will. And I have literally gone through all of the emoji faces, you know, throughout the trials, like all of those, that whole line of emoji faces and reactions and stuff that they have on your phone. Yeah, I've done all of those during trials. So I can't fix my face, but.
No, I like to think my face is a stained glass window, but really, you can see right through it.
Right through it.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I don't want to keep you any longer because, me too. One day we will have a trial that calls for that. I have a feeling it might be coming up. We'll see. We will see.
Yeah.
But I don't want to keep you for too long. I know you got to do that recap.
Yeah, I'm about to do the recap, the members only recap, and put that out. And then my day starts pretty early, so I'm going to. At least I got a nap in though.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm glad I got to come hang out with y'all. I love my culties. I love y'all so much.
See, you're authentic. That's all people ever ask for anymore. Like they just want like somebody to be authentic, and
Yeah.
because and that tells you a lot about the current state of affairs, either online or in media, etc. They just want authenticity,
Yeah.
and that's what we hopefully offer you all. Pop it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all having my back too. This trial has sucked. It's really sucked. It has sucked the life out of me. I have seen the nastiness come, from keyboard trolls who, and the thing is like, there were two of them coming after me the other day, and I was like, this is the same person. And then he accidentally responded to, I had said something to one of his accounts, and then he responded, he's like, well, no, I didn't, or whatever it was. And I was like, so you are the same person.
Stock account.
Like it's just the names I've been called and the threats and the,
Some people are like the JC Penney's of sock accounts.
Yeah. It's just it's been ridiculous. And my big thing is I am here to get the whole picture. I want to see the whole picture. I want to see justice work itself out. I want to see I want to watch the process. I want justice for everybody involved, especially the victims, and in whatever capacity that is. So I'm going to bring you truth, and if the truth looks bad for any specific person, then that ain't my fault, y'all. This is the truth. So
Mike said that's disrespectful to JC.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, they should end tomorrow, thank God, and then we'll go into verdict watch. So
what you're saying
do closing
is
arguments on Wednesday, and then we'll go into verdict watch.
So what you're saying is
that it's been 84 years.
It's okay.
Yes. Yes. I can't even tell you how many times a day during chat we say that too. Like that exact thing. Like people put in chat, it's been 84 years. We're like, yes, it's been 84 years. It's only day 15, but it's been 84 years.
Here's what I want. I want the defense to do their two witnesses, whatever. And the only thing Raven really does the whole time, she stands up, she goes, we rest, and sits back down. That's it. That's all they needed her to do.
I can't stand her.
Somebody did ask, do we know who the two witnesses are?
They are calling Detective Collins back, the cell tower dude. Raven completely blew that. She annoyed the crap out of all of us. And I'm sorry, I'm tired of being nice about it. She bless her heart. I don't know how the heck she is an attorney the way. I see what you did there.
Into that, I say,
hello, Poppy.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. She's only done one cross-examination, and it was a freaking joke. I've got the eyebrows ready. You better believe those verdict eyebrows are ready.
Trust
and believe. But yeah, she's sitting there going over. Agent Collins literally had to explain it to her 6 times that she's like, so you're saying this? He's like, no, it's not. No,
it's a cone.
It's a cone. It's a cone. It was so much of it's a cone moment, and it wasn't even like like at least Jim Griffin when he told him it's a cone once, at least Jim Griffin was like, okay, that was stupid, I should back off. No, Raven doesn't. She keeps going and keeps going, and she keeps talking about cell tower pinging, and he's like, no, this is a different report. Like this is the engineering report. She did not get it. But I'll say this. Her not understanding a lick of anything, and continuing to ask questions about a different report, and him continuing to explain the difference in the two reports, all that did was clear up any confusion the jury may have had. So, but she blew it, and now they're bringing him back. So he's one of the witnesses, and then the other one, I think they have their own trajectory
Yeah.
expert that, of course they do, because they're going to bring somebody in to try to say that it was different, or that it could have been different or whatever. I'll be honest, there's not a lot of other reasonable explanations that I can come up with, that anybody that I know has been able to come up with. I've asked people to email them to me and nothing has come through. So it's, if you watch, like there's, I watch multiple people's synopsis of these because I like to see different, I want to have somebody who always says guilty. I want to have somebody who always says innocent, and I want to have, I want to hear all these different people why they're saying it, and and there's overwhelming people who actually look at facts, not fans, because God knows they don't look at anything. Somebody posted today on TikTok. Somebody sent it to me that they dismissed the charges in Mellie's home, and everybody's excited. Like, oh, God, TikTok. I hate TikTok. Yeah, TikTok. I hate TikTok. So if you listen to fans, then he's been, almost home for 5 years now. But
must be nice,
right? So I like to listen to the people who actually take into consideration evidence, and so those are the ones that I listen to, and all of the ones that I've seen who actually, like, all the ones whose opinions I respect, I should say, have said, at this point that there doesn't seem to be any other logical explanation. So it's up to the jury. And, the problem is, on this side of things, we're able to look at everything and research everything and put things together in a different way than the jury is. So they have to rely on the state presenting their case. And the state did not do a great job at presenting the case. If I had not put everything into the timeline that I did, I wouldn't have picked up on a lot of the things I picked up on. So, that is probably, we'll see how they do in closing arguments, but that's going to be, if he's acquitted, it will more than likely be because of that.
I agree, Kelly. That's really the only way I'd want to be sequestered either.
Yeah.
Is if Kathy was in charge.
Yeah. If that was the case, I'd be like, yes, let's do this. Let's hang out. And
she'd be the perfect four-person, and like we would all be by the end of her recap, or you, Brandi. By the end of your recap, I'd just go with whatever you said.
She would be so much more entertaining, though. Her recap would be so much more entertaining than mine. I love them. Oh my gosh! Did you watch her video this morning?
Oh, I missed it.
I was cracking up laughing. I was like almost late to start my stream because I was watching her stuff, and she was talking about the serial killer and wrapping his victims in burlap. She's talking about how he went to Joann's Fabrics, and that she imagines that, maybe he put a bow because of, manners. And so she's hilarious, y'all. She is just one of my favorite people in the world. So she's true. All right, I'm going to go do my recap video. I'm glad we got to hang out for a while tonight.
Yes, me too. Thank you for hopping on.
Yeah, John Thomas Bison's Jodi. Oh, Dean Sparks.
Oh, we love you.
We love you. All right, y'all. I will see y'all later. I will see you hopefully tomorrow. We will be done with this. Well, Wednesday after closing arguments, we'll be done with all this whole shit show.
Oh, but closing arguments will be fun to make fun of. So
yeah, watch Raven do closing arguments. Like,
oh my God, that is so Raven. The low-hanging fruit's what I go for, and there it is.
Yes. All right, culties, I love y'all. I will see you tomorrow.
Bye. Oh, I'm so glad she joined. And it's a little late, but some judges just aren't on top of it. I'm so sorry, everybody. So sorry. Oh, please don't encourage me. Don't encourage me, everybody. Don't encourage me. Mrs. Bruce Crime would be the first to say that. We have had a we've had a long intro, so let's hop into this, shall we? Shall we? I think that would be a good idea. I do indeed. I want the right thing here, and I think this is it. I'm going to put this on the right side. Save, update. Here I am. You didn't have to do that, Terry, but thank you for the super sticker and the thumbs up. Woof. I am glad I have a gavel too. You're not kidding. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see kind of how far we get into this. Hopefully, oh man, I really hope we get to what I'm hoping. It should be coming up in very soon. So, brink, let's go ahead and get started. I've got my sound effect fingers at the ready. I've been warming them up down here. That sounded wrong, but I'm going to hit play now. Y'all can chuckle at that.
Okay.
Have you read them all?
Yes, I've read them.
Do you recognize them?
Yes.
What's the matter with kids these days?
Without telling us exactly what was said, what was the context of the conversation on April 18th?
I had left town, obviously. I think I was just back in Wairika, and he discovered that I left a drawing behind that he gave me, and it really made him mad. It was just something I forgot as I was moving, and it upset him.
And this is what we talked about last week, this drawing that he had signed.
Yes.
And in terms of his, you talked about the conversation. What affected the anger that he displayed during this text conversation? What did it have on you? Did it have that same shaking effect we've been talking about?
Yeah, it did. I just wanted to get him calm down and explain to him that that wasn't intentional, that it was an accident that I forgot.
Phrasing.
You're going to move Exhibit 445 be admitted into evidence.
I don't have any objection to, if the foundation that we talked about is there, I don't have any objection to the majority of it. However, the end portion of the text message talks about Sedona and.
Judge, if we're going to have this complex a discussion, we should have it at bench.
Right.
Ms. Arias.
It's been 84 years.
It's okay.
Do us a favor and let me draw your attention to page 79 of that exhibit, or what is denoted as 79 of 132. And drawing your attention again to 12332. And you're having the discussion about this signed item. Could you tell us what he says to you in text message 12332?
I love it when she goes,
He says, "Do not call back."
Oh, hold on.
It's a typo, I think. "I'm sick of you playing stupid and dealing with childish tactics."
And does that,
I love it when
do you
she goes,
respond to that before he texts you again?
Did we do it?
No, it doesn't. Well, I might have been typing a response, but another response or another text message came through before I could respond.
What was the next message you received from him? Stupid idiot. Could you read that to us?
Yes. "It was some stupid ass way of ruining yet another of mine, which you have done so much of. Bitter feelings are brewing in me towards you. I'm sick of having days ruined by you. If it keeps up, I fear I will have a genuine dislike for you. I'm asking you before it gets to that to stop doing it, before I start seeking revenge. Your account with me is overdrawn. P.S. You need to start paying me back, so you better start looking for a job."
And paying you back, is that a reference to the BMW?
Yes.
Okay.
Cheap base.
Drawing your attention to text message 5044. Your response was to apologize to him. Is that right?
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, if drawing your attention to page 80 is you apologize again and tell him, "Don't worry, be happy." Is that right?
It's one text message broken up 3 times, and it looks like it was sent twice.
Okay.
Probably an accident.
But that was the substance of one of the
Man can
things you
pull
said
off
to
a
him,
pattern
right?
tie
Yes.
and a solid tie, and I'm jealous.
Drawing your attention to page 81 of 132 in this exhibit, text message 12335. After you apologize, this text message came after you apologized to him, is that correct?
Yes.
Could you read that for us?
Thought of John Thomas.
It's just always something, Jodi. It just gets old. If it was
The
hard for you to
unsinkable Molly.
take because of sentimental reasons, you shouldn't have asked me to sign it and then made me sign it in ink right away.
John Thomas.
To leave it
Anyone who
after
can
all
think
that was
unsinkable
rude
Molly.
and inconsiderate to me, which has been a common trend from you lately. You say you meant to get it, but even if that's true, you put it there so you could leave it and knew it would upset me, but you simply don't care. Just like wasting an entire week of my life sending me on a wild goose chase based on a lie. You just didn't care to be considerate on how all that affects me. I'm trying to save my house, build a business amidst so much conflict, and you don't care about anything that doesn't involve you. It's very upsetting, and I'm tired of it. I don't want to deal with anything big or little that is some stupid ploy. You're not sorry. If you were, you wouldn't continue onward with this stuff. I'm just asking you to think of me. If you would have thought of me for 1 second, you wouldn't have left that there. Imagine if I did that to you with something you gave me. You'd cry for weeks. Just give me a pardon from any madness. I don't need it. It wearing me out, and if it continues, just like I have to give you motivation to tell me the truth, I'll give you motivation to quit screwing with me.
If she was anything like Kathy Bates,
And
Unsinkable
do
Molly
you know
Brown,
what that
you're right, I
motivation
should not
was?
at all. I love that woman.
I don't. I mean, I probably imagine the worst.
How did you respond, going back to the next page? There are referring you to text message 5053, 5054, 5055, and 5057. Could you read those for us? I know that they are, could you read it to us in the order which you typed them? I know they didn't come in that way, but if you could just read it in the order you typed them.
Yeah, the first 3 you mentioned is, there are only 3 of 4 that showed up. The second one never came through, so it'll be
Okay.
broken up. Never to deliberately upset you, hun. Sorry again. I was just confused in so many ways. I feel like since I left AZ, a fog
Anything
has
that
lifted
doesn't,
and
I just
things
assumed
seem
she
so
asked you to
much.
say, but
The
I
next
don't know.
message is missing and it goes on to 3. Both have a lot to recover from, but also a lot to be happy about and thankful for. I love you. Things are only getting better now. I know it. I haven't felt this good in so long. I almost forgot what it was like.
What do you mean when you said you hadn't felt this good in so long? What was that a reference to?
I just felt more like I was like my old self again when I got back to Wairika, and like I was just living in this fog, this almost like a suicidal fog the whole time I was in Arizona, and it was almost like getting oxygen to get out of there.
Did these conversations you had with Mr. Alexander, did they draw you back into that fog?
Yes.
Looking at text message 5060 on that same page, there's a reference to a phone call. Do you see that there?
Yes, I do.
You say, thank you for calling, and say that was very nice of you. This phone call then, was Mr. Alexander once again apologetic?
Yes, he was apologetic. I mean, he felt justified, but he was apologetic and he was nicer. I forgot to read one of the text messages that you asked me to read.
Which one was that?
5057.
Okay, go ahead and read that for us.
It just says, now that that's all behind us, let us just
chalk it up to that chalk up that drawing to one last ditzy thing. I honestly forgot to grab it after I put it there. I think it's the second part of the text message didn't come through.
Okay. So just to clarify then what you're saying here and what your testimony is that you didn't
She's 11
not
years
bring
old
this
today, and
item
that-
with you, this signed item with you, out of some evil intent to ruin Mr. Alexander's day. Is that right?
Objection, text and answer given speaks for itself. Leading.
Sustained.
Did you forget this drawing out of a desire to ruin Mr. Alexander's day?
No,
As a matter of fact, you didn't want to do anything that would incur his anger at all, did you?
Objection, leading.
Sustained.
Did you want Mr. Alexander to be angry with you?
no, never.
Because you'd start shaking if he did, didn't you?
Objection, leading.
Sustained.
Would you start shaking if he got mad at you?
Yeah, it depended on his fury and his wrath.
When he swore at you?
His
Yes.
wrath.
When he called you a whore?
Yes,
Here
A
it is.
slut?
yes,
Here
That
it
made
is.
you shake. You were scared, right?
Objection, leading.
Sustained.
Were you scared?
yes,
Did you like it when he called you a three-hole wonder?
no,
I shouldn't laugh. That's super inappropriate, JT.
Let's talk about
1987.
a conversation you had with Mr. Alexander on the 19th
Honestly,
of
I would be
April
doing the same thing.
2008.
It would be my
that has been
nervous
marked
tick.
Exhibit 446.
I would probably do the same thing.
And if you could just do us a favor and read that to yourself.
Squeaky, 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 squeaky.
I can't drink water with you all because they're hysterical. On brand tonight.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
yes.
Do you remember let me ask you this first. What was the subject matter of this text conversation?
I was telling him a story on the phone and he asked me to get to the point, and I think my feelings were hurt, so I said something to the effect of, like I always listen to him when he wants to tell a story, even if it goes a long time.
And was that well received by him?
No,
And you were living in Wairika at the time of these text messages?
yes,
His anger still affected you then on April 19th, 2008?
Leading.
Sustained.
Did his anger still affect you on April 19th, 2008?
yes,
You sit on a throne of lies.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to admit Exhibit 446.
You know he's looking at that just like, I can use this, I can use this, I can use this, I can use this.
No objection if his avowal stands that he'll tie it up later.
Is that correct, Mr. Nermy?
That is, Your Honor.
446 is admitted.
His vow.
Jodi, I'm going to hand you back Exhibit 446. In case you need to refer back to it.
The power of Christ compels you.
Be gone, evil
During
spirit.
this conversation, you recall there was some discussion regarding his public speaking, or you were commenting on his public speaking, correct?
Yes.
How did that come to, was your feedback something that he asked for?
No.
Why was it offered?
I think because he criticized me and told me to hurry up, so.
He criticized you for what?
For taking too long to.
Taking too long to what?
To say what I was telling him.
Okay. And how did that lead to talking about his public speaking skills? Or you speaking, excuse me, about his public speaking skills?
I tried to make a joke and tell him that I said, you're a little long-winded yourself sometimes when you're speaking.
You
And that
can't
is the
handle
part
the
that
truth.
wasn't well received by you, is that right?
Yes,
Or by him, excuse me.
That's not very constructive.
that's correct.
Did he want to talk to you anymore after that?
Eventually, yes.
But during that text conversation, did he want to end the conversation?
He kept saying that, I think, but he kept texting me, so.
Okay.
And you can't do
During
that.
this text conversation as well, he wanted you to do something, or do a project for him. What was that project?
He wanted me to upload some photos, shrink the file size, and email them to him.
And were you still working for him? I mean, were you still getting paid to do activities for him?
No,
Okay. He was just asking you to do this as a favor, I guess?
right, as a favor.
Okay.
Can you tell me what movie that
And-
is?
In this text conversation, it sounds like you were doing something else instead. What was that?
I was editing wedding photos
Not yet.
at the moment.
You say wedding photos. Where did these photos come from?
I photographed my cousin's wedding in March, and I was coming up on almost a month of her not having the photos yet, and I just had 12 more to go, and I wanted to get her the CDs so she could have her wedding photos.
So in this conversation was Mr. Alexander, and this was your budding business, so this is what you wanted to be your business, wedding photography, part of it anyway, right?
Yes, it was my fledgling business.
Okay. Did
Fledgling.
Mr. Alexander get
That's the
upset
first
with
honest thing you've
you, as demonstrated by these text messages, for putting your business interests ahead of his desires to have this work done?
Objection reading and cumulative, that's what the text messages say.
Restate your question.
You've reviewed these text messages, right?
Yes,
Did he get angry that you put your own business interests in front of his own desires?
yes, he wanted me to drop what I was doing and do his photos real fast.
But you didn't have time because you had your own work to do. Is that fair to say?
Yes, and answer.
Sustained.
Let's talk about another conversation you had with him. Well, let me ask you this, just as a follow-up. After this text conversation, the one we were just referring to, did you wind up doing the project for Mr. Alexander?
Not that night.
Okay. When did you wind up doing it?
It got done eventually, probably, I don't know when. All I know is that night my computer froze and it wouldn't unfreeze.
Okay.
The blue screen of death.
Why did you do that project for him?
He was trying to start a Facebook page for his dog, and I took pictures of Napoleon, and he wanted those photos. So he could have photos on the Facebook page of Napoleon.
No.
Okay, that explains to me why he wanted it. What I was asking you is why were you doing it for him as opposed to him taking care of his own business?
I don't think he didn't have a nice camera, and I had good photos, and I liked taking pictures and sharing them, and I wasn't going to keep them. It was his dog, so I wanted him to have them. He wanted them for the Facebook page, so that's why I did them.
Okay.
I'm entirely sure what that's supposed to mean.
Show
but
you
hey.
what's been marked as exhibit 447. I'll trade you that. If you could just read that to yourself, please.
No, take your time, Jodi. Take your time.
Okay.
Do you recognize these text messages?
Yes.
And these were, it appears, a day or two after the conversation we were just referring to. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, it finishes up that conversation, then moves into the next day, and then the next day and the next day.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to admit exhibit 447.
Objection as to the date, if we could just have a date when this happened.
When did these text messages take place in this exhibit?
They're dated April 19th through April 22nd.
And move to admit, Your Honor.
I've
No
got
objection.
my
Again, with the avowal, that they
soundbite.
will be tied up later.
The avowal was previously made, Mr. Nerney.
It still stands, Your Honor.
Exhibit 447 is admitted.
Mean that you can't answer it?
It's a bullshit question. It's impossible to answer.
I want to show you before I show you the whole thing. Text message 12661.
Oh,
It's part of this exhibit.
I'm not judging the dog.
And this happened
Instagram,
on
etc.
4/19
I know plenty of
of
people with them.
2008. You can see here, he says, sounds like a clever story for not doing it. Kind of funny. Everything went fine. But mine, and it all goes to hell. Very fishy. Just forget it.
So good.
I know how you operate. Is that related to the wedding photos you were just talking about
I
and
want
doing
one of their
his
songs for a
photographic
theme.
work?
Yes.
Okay.
Lisa, make
There
that happen
is
for me.
a
Give me the rights.
text message. The number is there. 5359. You tell him thanks for apologizing. Did he call you and apologize?
I don't remember if he called or if we texted it. There are a lot of missing text messages, but either way, he apologized after that argument.
And then after saying, I know how you operate, and being mad at you for putting your own interests in front of his, he says that you are one of the prettiest girls on the planet, right?
Yes.
Kind of puts you back in the fog, doesn't it?
Stay.
Did that put you back in the fog?
I was more in the fog when he was sending me mean text messages.
Let me put it this way, it kept you in the relationship, didn't it?
I want the
Yes.
rights to a song that would work for our show. So that I
Did
can show it.
this kindness and affection that he showed you,
Sing song.
did that help reel you back in?
It made me feel better about associating with him.
I want to talk to you now about a text message conversation you had with Mr. Alexander on May 10th of 2008 that's contained in what's been marked as Exhibit 448. Just take a look at those and read them over to yourself.
You on drugs?
Doot, doot.
Yes.
What was the
I don't mean to sound
subject matter, if you will, of this string of
Thank you, Paul.
text messages?
I made a grave error and sent a text message to his phone that was supposed to go to Steve Carroll.
And this is the individual you were speaking about last week, someone you were chatting with on, I believe it was LDS Link Up, is that right?
Yes.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
And when did this series of text messages that you see in this exhibit, when did they begin and when did they end?
The misdirected text message, it actually was on the 9th, not the 10th. It started on the evening of the 9th and all the way to the
I hope so. I sure hope so.
apology about 3 hours later. A little
We'll
over
see.
3
It's only
and a quarter hours
10:30,
later.
so.
And I'm going to move to admit exhibit 448.
Objection, lack of foundation. Again, the relevance, the effect on her.
Sustained on the last part.
You sent this text message to him or inadvertently, right?
Yes.
And he was angry?
Yes, he got angry.
How did that affect you?
Like, can I tell what was going through my mind or?
Yeah, what was going through your mind? I mean, what's the big deal? You're not dating him anymore. You're chatting with the guy on LDS Link Up. Why are you concerned if this message inadvertently goes to Mr. Alexander?
Because of how he had reacted in the past when I told him about, well, right before moving, when I told him all about Abe and he got really upset. And I told him about Sam, this other guy's.
Objection, hearsay.
She's describing how it affected her, Judge.
World, let me continue.
And then I also told him about Sam. So he was very angry about all of those things and accused me of lying to him about Abe and everything else thereafter. So when I sent him that, I really got nervous because I hit cancel, but because it was two messages. It was one message broken up into two and I hit cancel, but not in time for the first one to go through.
Oh, no.
So I thought it just because I hadn't told him about Abe. And then even though we weren't dating at the time, and I didn't tell him about Sam, even though we weren't dating at the time, now there's Steve. And so it's just, I feel like I was just living up to what he was saying I was, because now I'm trying to talk to this guy, but I'm not telling him, and now it gets misdirected, and it was just, everything blew up, and it was totally the worst thing that I could have done that day. Instead of sending it to Steve, it went to Travis on accident.
Well, you were single. What was the big deal?
I don't know. I mean, I knew he was trying to date Mimi during that time, or at least I thought. And we had moved away, but I don't know, he just didn't react well to those things.
And you were still concerned about angering him. Is that accurate to say?
Especially,
Let me answer.
Yes.
I move to admit Exhibit 448.
again, the foundation, she's given.
Approach.
Text message
Judge said,
to Mr. Alexander instead of to Steve Carroll. Were you upset?
I was freaking out, actually,
Why?
I bet.
because
Oh no.
I just didn't want him to receive that.
Why?
Because then he knows.
It wasn't meant for him, and I was trying to keep my dating life separate somewhat, because
No,
it never
That's
went well when
not
he
true.
knew details about my social life.
Meaning it never went well, meaning he would get angry with you, right?
Actually,
Overruled.
By this point, yes, he would get angry. It started off as teasing me or clicking around on MySpace to find out who I was messaging, but then
Overruled. May continue.
Please repeat that, Jodi.
he just started off teasing me about things early in our relationship, and then he would start clicking around on my friend's network to find out like where I'd left messages, and then he would call me and mock the message that I left, like in a girly voice. Or if someone left a message on my page, he was all over it and wanted to know who, what, when, where, what the context behind it was. And so it just increased like that. And I mean, I guess East Mesa is kind of a small place, so at one point he saw me on a date with this other guy, and he teased me about it later.
So you were hoping to avoid his anger about you dating or seeing other men, is that right?
Yeah, by this point it was just pure wrath.
Okay. I'm going to move to admit Exhibit 448.
no objection.
448.
Let's talk about text message 6572. We talk about his wrath. Was this the message, hey there, someone has my Google password because he's been helping me with some things on the Google blog, and it happens to be an ex-boyfriend? Is that the message that garnered Mr. Alexander's wrath?
Yeah, that was the first portion of the message.
And from what you told us earlier, the second portion didn't go through because you were able to stop that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Says, you and your Steve cover-up make me frickin' sick. What cover-up was there? Do you have any idea what this means?
He had got into my Gmail before and found an email from Steve. And I told him that we were just friends. So I think that's what he was referring to.
Okay. And he says, and I quote, "Why don't you have him come fuck you in the woods?" Is this again about Mr. Carroll?
Yes. And the Little Red Riding Hood thing that he wanted to do.
Okay.
I think it was like 3 to 4 months. Certainly not longer than 4 months. Yeah. Yep. Sure is. There's a lot of good ones that I need to pull from our trials.
Let me give you back Exhibit 448. I just have a few more questions to ask you about that. Exhibit, if you could do me a favor and turn your attention to page one. What's
I'm gonna call him
denoted
Daddy
in
Bruce.
this exhibit is page
My
118
dad
of 132.
a link to this. And he said, "Is she a liar? If so, a really good sociopath. If a sociopath, was she psychic?"
After he
If so,
tells you,
what were the findings?
After he references you having sex with Mr. Carroll.
If you all find the document of the psych eval,
It's in text
and I
message
can't find it,
6576.
let me know.
What is your response?
Ironically, I'll read
Read
the
it.
psych eval.
Yes, please.
In a wig.
It looks like there are 3 text messages in that response. Is that correct?
It's one message broken up into 3.
Okay, fair enough. Could you please read those sequentially then?
Yes. Please don't give me any more grief about Steve or anyone else. I still love you bunches, and I'm doing what I think will help me move on. I haven't asked you about any girls in your life recently. Let's just adopt a don't ask, don't tell policy when it comes to that stuff, and we'll both be better off. Don't you agree?
I don't think that means what you think it does.
Y'all pity the fool.
So after the message, you still love him and you're apologetic.
Yes. Yes.
We all float down here.
Let me
Float.
direct your attention to
Or do. I don't judge.
what is denoted as page 119 of 132. Which is end message 14090. Do you see that there?
Yes.
And that was from Travis to you, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Could you read that message for us?
He writes, I freaking bet. I wonder what crap you send out that I don't get. I bet the second half of that email was a doozy. You are a real piece of work. By the way, thanks for keeping your end of the contract you made by paying me for the car you destroyed. You are more and more like your mom every day.
He mentions he says second half of email. To your understanding, was he referring to the second half of the text message?
Yes.
Did he want you to send that to him?
Yes, he wanted to see what it said. He wanted to know what it said.
And did you send it to him?
And did he in fact demand to know what it said?
Yes.
You
Did
on
you
drugs?
feel obligated to send it to him?
Yes.
Why?
I suppose.
Because I wanted him to know
finish
that
with this
what
guy.
the rest said. I shouldn't have hit cancel. If I had known that only half would go through, I would have just let him read the whole thing.
But why did you feel obligated to share the second part with him?
Because he's speculating up here about how bad it could have been, and it wasn't bad. I just was telling him to email me on a different email.
The ultimate
Why did you
shade
feel
of it all.
that you had to justify anything to Mr. Alexander in May of 2008?
I don't know why.
Okay.
He just had it like that, I guess. Did you send him that second text message? The second part? Before I realized that hitting cancel.
Sustained.
Texts. More texts.
Did you, let's just, to begin with, yes or no, did you send him a second half of the text message?
Not that second half.
Okay. What do you mean by
Oh.
not that second
Just
half?
sent
Did you
a
send him
fake
something
second
else?
half?
Yes.
What did you send him? Do you see it? Let me ask you this. Do you see it there reflected in that conversation?
Yes.
And which message are you referring to?
It's on page 126,
When they cut back to where I'll
587.
let you know. I can't remember what she's wearing
It's page
already.
126.
1:20. The message is 6587.
And could you read that for us?
It says, doesn't really make sense because it's broken up, but it carries over from ex-boyfriend, Jodi Arias at Hotmail. Well, it's supposed to say at, but it came through different. Jodi Arias at Hotmail for now. If you want, thanks.
And you created that to satisfy Mr. Alexander and to calm his wrath, as you described it?
Thank.
Why did you send that text message? Why did you make?
Y'all, this is where I come from. This is where I come from. Papa Brews Crime. I like that one better than Daddy Brews Crime. I obviously asked everybody, if you can find the psych eval, let me know. And he wrote, you can find it at 1-800-BA-DEVIL. Call for a planned destination called hell. Oh, God. At least you all know I come by it honestly.
That up.
Well, it wasn't really, this was the gist of what I'd sent. I looked for the second
today,
half and it
Satan.
wasn't
Not
in my
today.
phone. Once I hit cancel, the message wasn't saved. So I couldn't find it and he's putting the pressure on me. He kept sending me messages and I'm trying to find this message in my phone.
I'm going to bring him on.
So
one
I
day.
just typed that out real fast.
I'm gonna make that
because
happen.
that's the gist of what it was. I was telling Steve to email me at my Hotmail instead of my Gmail for now.
I'm going to refer you to message 14098. It is the sole message on the page. I think it's the next to the last page in the exhibit.
I keep missing the cut to her mom.
Do you see that there?
Yes.
How did this conversation end?
He says, I'm sorry too. I love you.
Those
That
are
reel you back in?
just
Made me feel better.
Captain Obvious.
Let's talk about one more thing about this exhibit. If you could take a look at page 121 or 132, which is the final page of the exhibit.
Okay.
What was the subject matter of that conversation?
I have a blank page on 121, so I don't know if I'm looking
Can
at
you
the same
remind
thing
me
as
to
you.
remind you to remind me to remind you?
Ms. Arias, I think I got my notes a little jumbled before lunch, but let
Oh, post
me
lunch.
then begin. I want to direct your attention to some text conversations you had with Mr. Alexander on the 11th, referring you to Exhibit 449.
Clear up some things that you wanted me to fix. Brr.
Review those to yourself, please.
That scowl, man. It's just disapproval all over her face.
Yeah.
And do you see the day that this text, or as far as the messages that are displayed here, do you see the day and time posted that those began?
Yes, May 11th. And it would be close to 2 in the morning until close to 3, around 3 in the morning. Wait, if I did my math right, it's early in the morning.
And this was the day after the text messages we were just talking about before lunch, is that right?
About 2 days after.
Okay, about 2 days after.
Right.
As you look at these messages, looking at the hours, do you recall, looking at the hours being a little off, do you recall whether these messages took place before or after the recorded phone call we heard last week?
This would have been the day after. So the last text messages were the 9th. The
Okay.
tape was the 10th, and this is the 11th.
I know she can receive mail.
The phone,
She can,
the
yes?
phone sex conversation that was recorded,
I don't
that
know.
happened on May 10th, correct?
Yes,
Okay. But that would have been the early morning hours of the 10th, not the late night of the 10th, right?
right, hours after the mean text messages,
So this is about 24 hours later, right?
approximately.
Okay. And do you recognize those messages as being messages you received from Mr. Alexander, referring specifically to 14120 and 6631,
Yes,
as well as message 14121?
yes,
Also this one.
Y'all pity the fool.
Move to admit exhibit 449.
Objection, lack of foundation. She indicated that these are the messages, but there's also messages from her. She has not identified those. And the same issue that we talked about before.
Mr. Nurmi?
Take a look at the rest of these messages. Do you recognize them all?
yes,
And is that the text message conversation you had with Mr. Alexander around the 10th of May, 2008?
11th. Yes, we're going back and forth.
Right. Your Honor, I move to admit 449.
Objection, hearsay.
Approach, please.
The sleepy
Without
bailiff.
telling me what was said on May 11, 2008,
By
looking
that
at
I mean
exhibit
that day back in
449
2013.
and directing you to some of those messages, did he say nice things to you in those messages?
Yes,
Did those make you feel good about yourself?
yes,
Did it make you, I think your words were, better about continuing the association with him?
Overruled.
yes, those are my words.
I'm going to move to admit exhibit 449, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I object
Usual
And why is that,
stipulation.
Mr. Reed?
No
because it's
objection.
devastating to my case.
Yes,
Overruled.
Your Honor.
Good call.
Does your monitor work there, Ms. Arias?
Yes,
Would you be so kind as to read text message 14120 to us?
honey, I think he meant to say, look beautiful in all your pics.
And that made you feel good?
Yes,
Man, I feel like that needs to be celebrated.
Can you read message 6631 to us?
I should send her a letter.
thanks, sweetie, you never fail to make me feel beautiful.
Dear diary.
And the next one?
Plus, I just got your other pics downloaded and you are smoking hot in them.
And your response is yeah?
Yay, with a smiley face.
Nope, that's not the right way to spell
Is that an
yay.
expression of the
Jodi.
fact that you were happy that you had Mr.
She said,
Alexander's
"Yeah.
approval for your
Yeah,
pictures?
I am.
Overruled.
Yes,
It still meant a lot to you on May 11th, 2008, his approval?
made me feel good.
I think that they did.
And that feeling meant a lot to you, right?
We haven't gotten there yet,
It
but I
was
think they
preferable
did.
to the alternative.
The alternative
Pretty sure I
being
read
what?
that.
How I felt when he was not being nice.
Okay. And that goes to the shaking and the fear? That's
Yes,
the alternative?
Right?
What was the alternative, Ms. Arias?
just the horrible feeling of when he's coming down on me and
2 hours
just
later.
feeling like I have to cower.
You still felt like you had to cower 1,000 miles away?
I did.
Arias, I want to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 450. If you could take a look at all those messages, please.
At least it's not the Melly trial. Let me see. I'll see if I can answer that for you. Long enough to where I don't feel like I have to have an answer for the next one soon.
Yes, I remember these very well.
We're on video 32
You say very well, why?
on the
Because I remember
website.
that whole night pretty well.
Okay.
There is most assuredly
And just so
75
we're
videos.
clear, that whole night, this is what
But
day
remember,
is
they're
this?
in digestible
This
pieces.
was, it
Some you wanna
started
vomit,
May, the
but
night of May
digestible
25th
nonetheless.
and moved into May 26th.
And if you looked at all the exhibit, ma'am?
Yes.
And does that contain the, both, what that is the interaction between you and two via text message that day?
Yes. During this part of the day.
Okay. And you said you remembered that day well. Without going into what's in the text messages for the moment, what was going on the 25th and 26th of May between you and Mr. Alexander?
I called him.
Thank you, Ricky, for
This
the
is
5
the time period
membership.
where I sent him another
I appreciate that a
pamphlet
lot.
with those phone numbers on it for
Um,
some kind of counseling or
welcome back
mental health services.
and welcome
And
to Laura, Big
he
Daddy,
got upset.
Cameron,
So
Babyface,
it
and
started this
Caliph
fight,
Moon.
basically.
Okay.
Welcome to the cult. Welcome back to the cult. Grab your Kool-Aid with a C and
this
E
fight,
because of copyright.
did it take place, and we heard earlier in the trial, we heard
Your juror. By popping in
the
exclamation point C.
instant message interaction you had with Mr. Alexander where he called you a slut, a whore, and a three-hole wonder. Was that part of this fight?
Yes.
And were there phone conversations that day as well?
Yes.
And then these text messages that we've just talked about in Exhibit 450, that was also part of this fight?
This was the start of it,
Okay,
sort of the beginning of the fight.
okay.
Beginning.
And yada, yada, yada.
And I'm going to move to Exhibit 450.
Same objection as before, lack of foundation, impact on the defendant.
Okay.
Did you feel good when he was saying those things he said
Sorry.
to you on those text messages?
No.
Is that the wrath that you feared?
Yes, that was the beginning of it.
Did it make you shake?
Yeah, at first it did. Well, I was asleep actually when
This
some
is
of it
what-
started. So
When you read them, did it make you shake?
I'm gonna bite my pillow. It's what I'm gonna
yes,
do.
it came through, and each time the phone would beep, it just made my anxiety build because I knew it was going to be. Well, I assumed it was going to be something not nice.
Move to admit Exhibit 450, Your Honor.
With the avowal, no objection.
Exhibit 450 is admitted.
I want to speak with you then
No.
about some of the things
It's only for you guys. You know that.
that were included in his wrath. I want to draw your attention, Ms. Arias, specifically to the text message denoted as 14829. Can you see that on your screen?
Yes.
Okay. Can you read that for us?
Yes. I sent you a response to your dire conversation that I hope you read because you need to read it. Maybe it will spark human emotion in you, something that only seems to exist when it comes to your own problems. But everyone else is just a part of your sick agenda. By the way, your pick comment to Danny Jones makes you look like a pure whore, even more to the people who know you. You should be embarrassed by it. But if he knew what I knew about you, he'd spit in your face. So would everyone else. I have never in my life been hurt so bad by someone. But why do I even say it? Because you don't care. It doesn't serve your evilness.
Check, please.
Before we move off that text message, I want to ask you a few questions.
Sure
You
do.
said I sent you a response to your dire conversation. Was that something that happened verbally, or was that something that happened over some other form of communication?
It was verbal. He wanted me to text it, but I didn't want to talk about his issues in the text messages.
What do you mean his issues?
In the next video or two, Juan's going to get up.
His sexual attraction to children.
It also says in here, your kid comment to Danny Jones makes you look like a whore.
Sleepy bailiff. Back at
Excuse
it.
me, a pure whore. Was that the one regarding man boobs, the Anchorman reference you were speaking of last week?
Yeah, it was a joke.
Okay. Drawing your attention to the next
TLDR.
message here.
He don't like her.
Number 14830. You read that to us?
You couldn't get off your lazy butt to read it, could you? That's the sociopath I know so well. It freaking figures.
To your understanding, what's that a reference to?
Well, that's because the text message above that came through, and that time would be around 1 o'clock in the morning. So it woke me up, and I was asleep. And well, first he called me. He sent that and called me. And so when I answered the phone, and I tried to read through the text messages, but I was very groggy and I was disoriented. And so after I shut my phone, I was hesitant to get up anyway, because in order to look at the email he wanted to send me, I had to go into my grandmother's room, turn on her computer, and that would wake her up. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. The bright light from the monitor would wake her up, and she's older, so she has a hard time sleeping as it is. So I kind of lay there for a minute contemplating whether or not to do that. And I was very groggy, so I slipped right back into sleep and didn't get up. So he was mad because I didn't get up and read it.
A little bit before the unaliving.
And he refers to you there as a sociopath. How did that make you feel?
I don't know. He's called me worse things, I thought, so it didn't make me feel good, but it wasn't the worst that he's called me.
Drawing your attention, if you could read for us text message 14831.
I don't want your apology. I want you to understand what I think of you. I want you to understand how evil I think you are. You are the worst thing that ever happened to me.
What should be.
How did that make you feel?
It made me feel not good, I guess. It made me feel yucky, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Yucky.
You mentioned, I don't want your apology.
Yucky.
Was there an apology text message that's missing here? Did you speak with him? What apology, to your understanding, is he referring to?
I apologize for not getting out of bed and going to read his email.
And how did you do that? Through text message?
It was either text or phone call. I was half asleep, but that's what I apologized for.
And why did you feel the need to apologize for not being able to read his email if it would mean waking up your grandmother?
Face.
Why did you feel the need to apologize for that?
Well, we were kind of night owls anyway, so I don't think he understood what it would have meant for me to get out of bed and go at this hour right now and why we get to go look at that email. So I guess, I don't know, I used to be able to turn on my own laptop and get online or talk to him on the phone late at night, but this night I was sleeping and my grandparents were sleeping. So I just felt like I needed to apologize, I guess. I didn't want him to be mad that I didn't get up.
Okay. Sounds like you did a lot because you didn't want him to be mad. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
One last text message in that string referring you to 14832. After you apologize, could you read that one for us?
You are a sociopath. You only cry for yourself. You have never cared about me, and you have betrayed me worse than any example I could conjure. You are sick, and you have scammed me.
Do you know what he means by betrayed him? Did you, to your understanding, what that would mean?
So you're telling me that?
If you don't, that's fine.
I do. It has to do with, I promised him that I wouldn't tell anybody about his issues if he promised to get help. And another stipulation I made was that he couldn't stay the night at his friend's house because they have children, and until he got help. And so my understanding was that he did actually end up staying there, and I talked to him about it, and I reminded him that he needs to get help. And I also sent the pamphlet around the same time because he's on the tape fantasizing about anally raping a 12-year-old, and it just wasn't going for 12-year-olds, going for adult, even though, So just all these things, and it was very awkward. I didn't want to put it in text messages. I didn't want that kind of thing.
We'll
but
just put it in this trial.
I think, well, he just stayed.
Explain further. You said he just what?
Objection to everything.
He was not happy that I kept pushing him because he wanted me to drop the subject. So back in January, I dropped the subject, assuming that he was going to take the necessary steps that he needed to take. And it was apparent, I didn't feel like he was taking those steps. So I was kind of, I guess you could say, pressuring him, not in a big way, but just urging him. And he didn't like that.
Okay. Now, in May of 2008, you're living at your grandparents' home. We've talked about that. Did you have your own room there?
Yes.
Okay. And where were you working in May of 2008?
May. I think I was working at Casa Ramos by then.
Okay. And this is a Mexican restaurant?
Yes, it's a Mexican family restaurant.
Did you ever refer to it as Margaritaville?
No, I thought that was a country song.
Okay.
Oh. I'm sorry, I need a second. In what world, as you can see, this is the one thing that I'm frustrated about. In what world is Jimmy Buffett country? Welcome to the show. Oh God! And I missed Ricky going, didn't I? Ricky's heading out. Good night, Ricky. Don't go.
And what was the status? You talked about a few moments ago in regards to the text messages. We talked about your photography business. What was the status of that? Was it taking flight? Where was it?
My photography, I thought, was taking flight because it was the end of the school year. There were a lot of juniors going into their senior year, and they wanted photographs and portraits. So I booked some of those and another wedding and also one in the fall. So I felt like it was my calendar was starting to fill up a little bit as far as photography goes.
Okay. So your business is taking flight.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
You have a job. Why did you still feel the need to interact with Mr. Alexander or try to solve his issues by sending him these pamphlets and having these conversations with him?
Well, solving his issues, I wanted him to get him to solve his own issues, but I cared about him. And
some people
you're seeing the worst of it, but in between these times, he was very kind and he was very loving and he would apologize.
But I wouldn't call that country.
It seemed to counterbalance it because there were times when he was so sweet and so nice and he would praise me and compliment me and make me feel very special. And then he would get pissed off and say things like that.
And at this time in your life, May 2008, we talked about this a while ago, but specifically late May of 2008, what are your interests, if any, with Ryan Burns?
At that point, I just wanted to get to know him better. I didn't know how we would jive, if we would jive, if our personalities would mesh at all, I never even really, I didn't remember interacting with him in Oklahoma City. I had only seen a few photos of him
I think
on his mission in Africa on the internet, on his MySpace page. And that was it.
Now.
So had you and Mr. Burns made any plans to get together?
You'll be all right.
Yes.
And when was that to take place?
Maybe
that was to take place. Well, eventually my trip to Utah was finalized for early June.
I see him as like rock, folk, singer-songwriter.
And
so maybe
was Utah your only destination, or were you going elsewhere?
Want to go that route?
I had a lot of destinations.
I guess some country.
Well, why don't we kind of?
I wish I would too, but I won't
because.
Okay.
We're in this for the long haul.
Just start.
Yeah, where were you?
And on top of that, Juan is going to respond to stuff that they talk about in direct, and we're going to wonder where the heck it came from. And, well, we'll have a good idea.
Well, let's talk about that. Where were you? What was your first destination going to be?
My first destination was going to be Monterey, California.
And when were you planning on leaving on for Monterey?
My plan was to drive to Monterey on the first day, stay the night, get up the next day and go.
No, but what day?
I would have left Monday morning the 2nd, early Monday.
Monday morning the 2nd, okay. Did anything happen between the text conversations and your plan to leave for the trip?
Yes.
What happened?
Well, at the end of the text conversation you saw led to an online chat conversation that went on for hours, which eventually led to us getting off the phone and off the computer onto the phone, where he wanted more phone sex. And so at that point, after we calmed down from that, he was talking again about coming up so that he wanted to try this Little Red Riding Hood thing. And we were just determining when that would happen.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you remember your grandparents' home being broken into?
Well, I wasn't there, but yes.
Okay. Do you remember about when that occurred?
Well, I understand it occurred May 28th, 2008.
Where were you? Well, we heard testimony earlier that eventually you came to the house that day. Do you recall doing that?
Yes.
And do you recall what day that was?
May 28th.
To your recollection, who called you and advised you that the home had been broken into?
I don't know that who called me because someone had called my sister. We were out of cell phone range, and when we came back into cell phone range, her phone beeped because she had a voicemail, so she checked the voicemail, and that's when she said that what had happened, so we went straight home after that.
And where were you when you received the message that your grandparents' home had been broken into?
We were in Hilt. Hilt is a small town about, I think, like an eighth of a mile from the border. It's right on the border. And out of cell phone range, we were at a Buddhist monastery way out there.
You say border. To what border are you referring?
I found
the Oregon border.
Music's from my dad, and I just
and how far? Refresh our memory. How far was the Oregon border from Wairika?
15, 20 minutes, depending on how fast you're driving.
So once you got this message, did you go straight back to your grandparents' home?
Yes.
I'm gonna bite my pillow. It's what I'm gonna do.
Did you break into your grandparents' home to steal this gun?
No.
Are you calling her the big bad wolf?
Did you orchestrate or have someone else break into your grandparents' home to steal the gun?
No, I did not.
You sit on a throne of lies.
We saw testimony and pictures about of your grandparents' home, and that were taken that day. Do you recall seeing those?
Go.
Yes.
But take us with you.
Is it correct then you simply could have, had you wanted the gun, you could have just opened the cabinet and taken it?
I guess if I'd known it was there, I could have.
Okay. You did not know that they had this pistol?
No, I knew my grandfather had rifles and shotguns, but I didn't know he had a handgun. When you learned of the burglary, did you learn that a handgun had been stolen, or did you learn that that handgun had been stolen? Eventually, yes.
I sure did, and I'm so glad you know it.
Did you know it at the time?
Well, not when I first arrived, I didn't.
Okay.
I
But
prefer.
did your grandfather or grandmother eventually tell you that this happened?
I love that. Drop
Yes,
rock.
my grandmother did.
Okay.
On the same day.
Okay. Now, we talked about how you were planning on going on this road trip. Your first destination was Monterey, eventually Monterey, California, right?
Yes.
And how far was Monterey, California from Wairika, California?
Approximately 7.5 hours.
Okay.
Monterey.
And what was the purpose of traveling from Wairika to Monterey? What were you going to do in Monterey?
Ain't no community.
Monterey
like
was just a
night
stopover
community.
because I had friends there. And then I wanted to continue to LA.
And you say friends there. Who was there?
Matt and Daryl.
Okay. How were you planning to make this trip from Wairika, Monterey, and all the way eventually up to Utah?
My plan was to go to Monterey, then to not Los Angeles, the city, but the area. And Then I was maybe going to go to San Diego. That was tentative because John Dixon was inviting me down there. Depending on time. I didn't really have a set itinerary. I was just sort of on my road trip going, and I had 3 or 4 days off, and I was glad. So then I was going to cut up through Nevada and Utah. And depending on if I was going from San Diego or LA or Monterey, I was going to either see Lake Powell or Death Valley. I don't know where Death Valley was in relation, so I just MapQuested it. And then head to West Jordan. And hopefully, depending on his schedule or time, we were going to see some national parks there.
Okay. A little more specifically, how were you intending to travel to all these different destinations?
Well, I wasn't intending to hit every single one. I wanted to go to San Diego because Hotel Coronado is on the list, Death Valley is on the list, Lake Powell's on the list, the national parks in Utah are on the list, and that was sort of my travel goal at the time. So showing up and photographing it and walking around a little would have counted as a destination and back on the road.
Back on the road. Getting back to my question then. How were you intending to go to all these destinations?
Driving.
Physically, driving. Okay.
Yes.
Did you own a car at the time in May of 2008?
Yes.
And was that the Infiniti we talked about before?
Yes.
Was the plan to drive the Infiniti to all these destinations?
No.
Why not?
I was broke at the time and I wasn't able to make my car payments. I wasn't also unable to keep up the maintenance that's required as far as getting the transmission service, the oil change, that kind of thing. So my Infiniti wasn't in the best road shape. It's also a sport car with a bigger, more powerful engine, and it's a gas hog. So with all those miles, I didn't want to waste all that gas.
Okay. So what were you going to do then in terms of securing another vehicle to drive?
I wanted to rent a more fuel economic car.
Okay. And we heard about you renting a car from the Reading Airport. Do you recall doing that?
Yes.
Okay. How did you come to wind up renting a car at this location as opposed to somewhere that might be closer to you?
Well, I think there are car rentals in Wairika, but I went to, it was either Priceline or Expedia or Travelocity or Orbitz, one of those things, one of those travel websites where you put in your information to rent a car. The only nearest cities that were coming up were Medford, Oregon, and Redding, California. So I was going south. Medford's 50 miles north, Redding is south. I have family in both places, so I thought I could drive my car to either location, park it, and get on the road. So south made more sense.
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
Going south made more sense because I was headed that way.
Tell us then, how did you get to Reading?
I drove my car.
When you made the reservation on the car, do you remember what sort of information you had to provide, be it Orbitz or Priceline or whomever you garnered the car through?
To the best of my recollection, I needed to give my name, probably a phone number, and payment information.
Okay.
Nope.
Do you recall going to the Reading Airport to rent the car?
Yes.
Do you recall talking to Mr. Colombo?
Yes.
To your recollection, how long did you spend at that car rental location speaking with Mr. Colombo?
I would say 5 minutes the first time, and then I came back in another 5 minutes maybe.
Okay. Why did you come in the first time?
You mean, why did I come back in?
Yes.
I came out and saw it was a red car, and so I came back in and asked him if he had a different color.
Why?
I've always been told not to drive red cars. They get pulled over more often.
Ah, haha, haha. You saw the hand go up, and I'm seeing in various places that it's the brain subconsciously instructing it to try and suppress deceitful, or in other cases, unintended words that are being said. I'm a Google expert. I play one on YouTube.
You saw the documents Mr. Colombo filled out saying that you claimed that the car was filled with smoke. Is that accurate? Or smelled of smoke?
Papa
Excuse me.
Bruce
Is that
Crime
accurate?
says that she could have used
No, he
plywood
told
derby
police
car
that I
with
exchanged the
sails
car.
and rubber bands.
Speculation.
Would have been more cost effective.
Sustained.
Miss Arias, when you, not what he told police, why did you tell him you wanted a different car?
Because of the color.
You never complained about smoke in the car?
Sometimes.
No, I did not.
Okay. And did he give you another car?
Eventually he did, yes.
Okay. After some period of discussion?
Yeah, he said he's never had that request. I'm sorry.
Were you under the impression that he had to come up with some other reason to issue another car to you?
Yeah, he just,
That's her impression.
Overruled.
What was the answer to that question, Miss Arias?
yes.
Objection!
Just
Hearsay!
selected something.
He selected something. Okay. When you rented the car, what did you give him? Did you
The
give him
first
your
one.
driver's license?
Driver's license
feel like
and
this
payment
one is the whole
information, a debit card, I
thing.
think.
Okay. Debit card that had your information on it, right?
Yes.
Okay. And there was some discussion about the color of your hair. We saw pictures earlier referencing you to Exhibit 414. Picture of you and Jewel, right?
Yes.
Now, we heard
Olive
Mr.
Jonesy
Colombo
for the
testify that you had blonde hair when you showed up to rent the car. And recall for us again, when was this picture taken?
I believe it was in May, or I don't remember the date. It was in the spring after I moved to Wairika.
Why don't we have you take a look at the back of the information here? Without telling us the date.
That item is in evidence, and so she can't tell us the date. I remember correctly.
The item in evidence shows that this picture was taken on May 18th, 2008.
I think it said 15th.
15th, excuse me.
Unless I misread.
Does that jive with your recollection?
Yes, it would have been around that time.
Okay. Now, was your hair, to your recollection, substantially similar to this in June, early June, I guess about 2 weeks later, when you rent the car from Mr. Colombo?
Yes.
Now, Ms. Arias, after you rent this car, I guess we should clarify, what kind of car did you wind up with?
I believe I wound up with a Ford Focus.
And I'm guessing it wasn't red?
No, it was white.
Okay. And once you have this
All right.
white Ford Focus,
Listen. Everybody wants the cross, and I'm far from being like pushed to do it. But I also know that you know that I know that the rest of this is going to be what happened next and the crime, etc. And we can push to cross Of course, I can't take a poll officially, but I can count. So, you tell me where you'd like to go. This is your choose your adventure. We continue on, or we pop into Cross. And of course, we're at like 50% on each. All right. That's fine. We are going to continue.
Chris, where do you go?
I went back to my brother's house where my car was parked and I took a nap.
Do you remember about what time of day this was when you, well, after you took a nap, do you remember about what time of day it was when you got on the road?
Late morning, I think.
And on this trip, as you left Redding, California, did you have a gun with you?
No,
Did you have a knife with you?
no,
You have a cell phone with you?
yes,
This Helio that we've seen earlier?
yes.
4
And
hours
did
of
you
video.
have a
If
charger
I
with you?
estimated right.
I did.
Okay. So tell us what happens next. You've got your car, you've taken a nap. What do you do?
I hit the road, Interstate 5 South. I forgot I was supposed to meet Gus Searcy in San Jose as well, if the time permitted. But I was very tired. I'd stayed up all night talking with Travis. So I didn't make it to see Gus. I pulled over somewhere. I think it was just in one of the little towns south of Sacramento or just north. I think it was in Corning. And I slept for a while in a McDonald's parking lot. And then I woke up in the afternoon and got back on the road and kept driving until I reached, well, I was going to go to Monterey, but Matt was in Santa Cruz. So he said, meet me in Santa Cruz. So I went to Santa Cruz.
Okay, and where is Santa Cruz relative to Monterey?
It sits on the north part of the Bay Area. I mean, not the Bay Area, the Monterey Bay.
Okay.
4
So
hours.
close to Monterey then?
It's
My
pretty
brain
close.
can't stay up that late.
You mentioned
And
that
they
you
can't.
spoke with Travis. This would have been on the night of the 1st, is that right?
Yes, actually, it was into the early morning of the 2nd.
Okay.
We pushed it
And
tonight.
without telling us exactly what was said, what was the subject matter of that
We might get to
conversation?
Cross on Wednesday.
What really stands out is we talked a lot about Gordon Hinckley. He was a former president of the church who had passed away that year.
Gus.
Did that conversation lead to any phone sex?
No,
Did, to your understanding, or did you ever convey to Mr. Alexander that you were going to see Matt and going on this trip to Monterey?
You get it up.
he knew I was going on the trip. Yes,
Then
and I don't know if I told him about Matt or not.
Okay. When you had this conversation with him about Gordon Hinckley, did you advise him that you were in the midst of this trip or that you were on your way to Monterey?
He knew I was on my way to Utah.
Okay.
Weird, wild stuff.
Who cares?
Was Monterey one of those, the fact that you were going to Monterey, one of those things that you wanted to keep a secret from him, or did it just not come up?
No, I mean, no, not a secret. I don't remember if it came up or not. He knew I was going to head south first and then cut up through Nevada and go to Utah.
Okay. So did you meet Matt?
Yes. And his friend.
What's that?
And his friend.
Okay. And do you remember about the time of day that you arrived in Santa Cruz?
It was evening and it was dark, not too late because there were still restaurants and bars open.
So what did you do where did you meet Matt and his friend?
Restaurants and bars are open still.
To my recollection, it's a kind of a bar and lounge restaurant called the Red Room.
Okay.
I think they've heard worse.
And what did you do at the Red Room?
We sat around, had appetizers, and then we headed to a karaoke bar.
Okay. Was, just so we're clear, was the purpose of this completely social? Was there any romantic interest in Matt at that point in time?
Not if they were going to a karaoke
No, there hadn't
bar.
been any romantic interest for
And I
years
like
and years
karaoke.
at that point. We were just friends.
Because you broke up with Mr. McCartney in what year?
2001.
Oh, McCartney.
So 7 years later, you're still friends with Mr. McCartney, right?
Yes.
Lady in
So
red.
after you go to the karaoke bar, what do you do next?
At that point, I follow him and his friend back to his apartment in Monterey.
His being who? Matt's or his friends?
It was an apartment. It was his friend's parents' house. They lived in one portion of it, and there was an apartment kind of sectioned off that he and his friend rented.
Did you spend the night there?
Yes.
That's what she said.
We saw
Oh well.
earlier in this
what I just said
trial
was that's what she said.
some banking transactions that you engaged in at a Washington Mutual. Do you remember seeing those?
Yes.
Okay. And one of the things that became clear as it looked like, and maybe you can explain it to us, it looked like you had more than one bank account with him. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you explain that to us?
Yes. After moving to Wairika, I opened a business checking account in addition to my personal checking account that I already had for over a year.
Okay. So these checks that you were writing back and forth, what was the purpose of you doing that in Monterey?
Oh, in Monterey? Well, I didn't do it in Wairika because when I left town, it was way too early. The banks weren't open. I didn't do it in Redding because I didn't live in Redding, so I didn't know where there would be a Washington Mutual. I lived in Monterey for over a year, so I knew where the banks were there because I banked there and in Carmel.
You don't have any money.
While I lived there.
Okay, so what was the purpose of, we saw the receipts and the checks. What was the purpose of moving the money back and forth between accounts?
Yeah.
My business made no money, so I sort of borrowed money from myself for my business. And so by doing that, I wrote myself a check and put money into the account so that I could use that money while traveling, because part of the reason that I was going to LA was for the photography. So I would be able to write off part of that trip. And part of the reason I was going to see Ryan was also for prepaid legal, so I could write off part of that trip as well.
I took photos of a tree.
And my business tax write-offs, I was trying to keep in that account to keep it organized.
Okay. So you could have just pulled cash out of the bank too, right?
I could have, yes.
Based on the receipts we saw and those sort of things, you had several $100s,
5
at
years
least
in
between
jail.
those two accounts. Is that
Nothing
right?
but.
I guess it was under 1,000. I don't think it was
Okay.
too much.
All right.
You know what? I took my
In
microphone
terms
to work.
of
I'm going to claim it.
payment for anything you might need, how are you intending to pay for the things that you might need along this trip? Meaning cash, meaning check, meaning debit card? What was the plan?
Cash or debit, not check.
Okay. And how much cash did you keep with you typically?
Just for emergency purposes, over 100. Not a whole lot. I think maybe 160, 80. I don't know. It was close to 100.
Okay.
Something.
Emergency
just in case.
200.
After you spend this time with Mr. McCartney, do you visit anyone else in Monterey?
Yes, the next morning I swung by Daryl's apartment in Pacific Grove, which is right next to Monterey, and hung out with him and Jack for a little while.
And just in case anyone's forgotten, who is Jack to Daryl?
Jack is his only son.
Here's Johnny.
So do you recall, you said you had breakfast with them, is that right?
Yes, we had omelets.
Okay. And how long did you spend with Jack and Daryl that morning?
Oh, I'd say half hour. We were just hanging out. Jack was getting ready to go to school, and we were just enjoying each other's company.
Okay. And this would have been,
I'm betting on no.
do you remember what day this
How
was?
about no?
Was this the
I
morning
think
of the
this was
3rd or the morning of the
Tuesday.
2nd?
I think it was the morning of the 3rd.
Okay. Did you borrow anything from Mr. Brewer while you were there?
Well,
Yes, I borrowed
definitely
his gas
do that.
cans.
Also, tell her happy early birthday.
And how many gas
Me.
cans did you borrow from him?
Everybody else.
2.
Why did you borrow 2 gas cans from Mr. Brewer?
So that I could, well, gas in Wairika at that time was $4.78 a gallon for regular unleaded. This is 2008. It's very expensive. All gas in California is a little more expensive because they have stricter regulations. So going to Nevada and Utah would have been
It works
cheaper.
for Jodi.
So
I
wanted
don't know
to
why she
fill it
thought
up.
it would work for her, other than she's full of herself.
You didn't tell him keep this a secret?
No.
Okay. When you were having breakfast with Daryl and Jack, do you remember telling Daryl that you were going to go to Mesa?
I had no plans to go to Mesa at that point, so no, I wouldn't have told him that.
Okay. After this, after you were going to leave Daryl's home or apartment, excuse me, where were you planning on going next?
To Salinas.
And what was in Salinas?
I wanted to get my nails done so they looked good because I was going to go see Ryan.
Okay. Did you end up going to Salinas?
Yes.
And where is Salinas relative to these other towns? Is this a nearby town or?
Salinas is probably, I think, 20-something miles from Monterey. It's not
Thanks for
far.
keeping us updated.
It's north, south, east, or west?
It is east. It would have put me on a better highway too to go south.
What's that?
It would have taken me to Highway 101 too, because Monterey is
Honestly.
Highway 1, and for traveling distances, you don't want to do Highway 1.
Well, let me ask you this before we
It's been 84 years.
get on to what happened in Salinas.
I'm lost. I'll have to
What
count later.
was, assuming Salinas wasn't the ultimate destination, was the plan to go to Salinas and then straight to Utah, or were you going to go somewhere else after Salinas?
I went to Salinas, had to wait because there was a wait at the nail salon, got my nails done, and then drove to Pasadena.
Okay. So Pasadena was the ultimate destination for you that day, right? Or at least it was one of your next stops.
That area. I was looking to hook up with Daryl's sister because she just had a baby, and I was trying to add infants to my portfolio.
This isn't the cool Daryl that we know. Just saying.
You
This
mentioned
isn't
being in
Travis's
Salinas
brother
and having
Daryl.
to wait at the nail salon. Did you go anywhere else while you were in Salinas?
I think I did, but it escapes me right now.
Okay.
Sorry I didn't sleep last night. My memory's shot.
Sure. Not responsive.
Sustained.
It has to be stricken.
Yes, the response is stricken. The jury is ordered to disregard the last response.
I didn't sleep. Are we supposed to feel bad for her?
Wind up
Wind up.
meeting with Daryl's sister.
No.
Why not? What happened?
She didn't return my calls. It was something we had tentatively planned, and she never returned my calls. She did, but it was the next
No
day.
lunch
It was
money.
too late.
And when you were calling her,
Who are they?
was this from Salinas or were you in Pasadena? Where were you when you were calling her?
I think I called her once the day before I left Wairika to remind her that I was coming down, and then again as I got closer to Southern California, and then again when I was in Pasadena, I think.
Now we're referring to as Daryl's sister. What's her name?
Laura?
Okay. So you make attempts to call Laura. You don't succeed in making contact with her, at least that day. What do you do? What happens next?
At that point, I was going to just hit the road and drive up toward Utah, probably crash somewhere in between.
Okay, you mentioned earlier that there was a possibility that you were going to go to San Diego. What happened there? Is there a reason? Did you end up going to San Diego?
No, San Diego was out at that point.
Why?
It got late, and sometimes I try to cram more things in that is realistic in my trip, thinking I can just do it because I've done road trips all my life, and
That's what she said.
I just figured cram more in, and San Diego wasn't feasible because it was much farther down.
Okay. So you're in Pasadena and you decide the next step in your journey is to start going to Utah. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
That
So
makes
what do you do in Pasadena to prepare for going to Utah?
I went to Starbucks. I went to, I think it was Arco. Because they had cheaper gas.
Money.
I filled up the tank and I filled up the gas cans also.
Okay. You said you went to Starbucks. Did anything of note happen at Starbucks when you were in Pasadena?
Yes.
What was
Really?
that? Describe it for us.
I went in, there was a big wait. It was a long line. It was kind of a busy Starbucks. I got a strawberry frappuccino, and as I was walking back out to my vehicle, I noticed some skaters hanging around near there, and they were all skating off, kind of laughing as I was walking toward my car.
Did you see any damage to your car?
No.
Okay.
Does that matter?
So at this point in time, you have
Objection!
your
Hearsay!
car full of gas, you have your gas cans full of gas, right?
What does that
Yes.
matter?
And the plan is to go to Utah,
Tonight.
right?
Yes.
Okay. And is this, we heard testimony earlier that you had called Mr. Burns and told him
Hi.
you were on
Hello.
your way to Utah, right? Do you recall that?
Yes, right before I had gotten on the freeway.
Okay.
Ryan's here.
And I feel like that needs to be celebrated.
Just
Was
saying.
it your intent at that point in time to go to Utah?
Yes. Maybe Death Valley first, but in that direction.
Did you go directly to Utah after you talked to Mr. Burns?
No.
Mr. Burns.
Why not?
Yes, Smithers. Yes.
I had been talking to Travis intermittently throughout that time, and the weeks prior when he discovered that I was going to Utah, he started saying, "Why are you going to Utah? Why are you going to Utah when you're going there this summer?"
Sustained.
Was Mr.
Objection!
Alexander questioning why you were going to Utah?
Yes.
Was it your understanding that he didn't want you to go to Utah?
Is that true? Because what?
I don't know.
The thought of her
I
walking
know he
out
wanted me to
with
go
a
somewhere else, but
strawberry
I don't know if
frappuccino
not
and
Utah.
him laughing
I don't know
at
how he felt about
important
that.
enough.
What's that?
I know he wanted me to go see him, but I don't know that he was, I don't know how he felt about Utah, except that he was suspicious of it.
Okay. You felt as if he was suspicious of Utah and he wanted you to come see him.
Yes.
And you say these are conversations you'd been having periodically throughout the course of
Good night.
these days on your vacation. Is that right?
Prior to the road trip and during.
And what?
During.
Okay. Did you speak on a daily basis during the road trip?
We spoke on the 2nd and the 3rd. Yes.
Okay. So going back to what we were talking about earlier, you've got the car full of gas and the gas cans are going to Utah. You tell Ryan you're going to Utah. Why do you not go straight to Utah?
The very last time I called Travis, it was kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. He had been very sweet. He had been guilting me, kind of making me feel bad that I was taking this big trip and that I wasn't going to see him. And we had been trying to hook up, and he kept being busy. So he had to postpone his plans to come to Northern California. Since I was driving south, he wanted me to come to Mesa. I told him no the first few times. During one conversation, he became angry. During the others, he stayed calm, but he has this way of like talking in this really sweet voice, kind of like baby talk, and making me feel guilty. And he sounded very sweet. And so when I called him one more time, it was just like, all right, I'm going. So I went.
Okay.
Can't do it. Nope. Won't do it.
Did you ever call Ryan Burns to say, well, I'm not going to be up there, I'm going to be late, anything of that nature?
Nope.
Prior to calling Travis and deciding to go to Mesa, I called Ryan and let him know that my phone was dying. So I wanted to turn off the battery to preserve the juice, turn off the phone to preserve the battery. And he said, that's fine. So I had started to turn my phone off, but then I called Travis one more time.
Objection, no response. Did she tell him?
She did. What did you do after you called Mr. Burns?
I started to look for the freeway, and as I was calling Travis.
Okay. Did you, during the last phone conversation with Mr. Alexander
But she
Pasadena,
sings.
did you advise him that you were coming to Mesa?
That final phone call I did, yes.
And we had talked earlier when you left Redding, California, that with the rental car, that you had a car charger with you when you started off to Monterey. Was that car charger not with you when you were in Pasadena?
I couldn't find it. I called Matt to see if I'd left it at his house. He didn't answer. I called Daryl to see anything, if I brought it there, if there was one there. He didn't answer.
Yep.
Okay. So you couldn't find it?
I couldn't find it. And my battery was getting low. I didn't want to be without cell phone service or gas in the middle of nowhere driving across the desert in Nevada.
Want to tell you, don't worry. I will be late. Don't stay up.
When you left Pasadena for Mr. Alexander's home in Mesa,
y'all know the rest. My battery is low.
did you have a gun with you?
No.
Did you have a knife with you?
No.
What color was your hair?
Kind of like an auburn brown, I'd say.
Diet Coke mama in the
Didn't
building.
stop to dye it along the way?
No.
what time in the evening, to your recollection, did you advise Mr. Alexander that you were going to come
Sure
to
did.
Mesa?
What time in the evening?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't remember precisely, but it would have been somewhere after 8 and somewhere before 10 p.m.
Based on your conversation with him, did you have the understanding that he would be expecting you sometime that night or the next morning?
Yes, he said he would wait up.
And how long a drive? You told us earlier that you'd driven out to Travis's home before. Do you know how long a drive it is from Pasadena to Mesa?
I estimated it to be about 6 hours.
So you're telling
And
me
this
there's a
vehicle
chance.
you were using, do you recall how far you were getting on a tank of gas?
No, but it seemed to go really fast by the way I was driving.
Okay. Between Pasadena and Mesa, did you need to stop for gas?
Yes, a few times.
And did you buy gas or did you use the gas that was in your cans?
No, I bought gas.
And how did you buy gas?
Raising.
I bought gas. I had to stop at Desert Center. I bought gas there. And then I had to stop again in Buckeye. And I got gas there. I think at the Shell.
Okay.
And how did you pay for that gas?
Wrong.
I don't remember. I mean,
Okay. So you stopped for gas twice?
yes.
Okay.
That seems. I don't know the distance, but.
So
that
tell
seems
us,
a lot.
do you remember about what time you arrived in Mesa?
It was still dark, but it was early morning, maybe around 4-ish.
Nope. She remembers that it was still dark, but early morning, maybe
And
4-ish.
is this on the 4th of June, 2008?
Yes.
When you pull up, did you go to Mr. Alexander's home?
Yes, I did.
When you pulled up to Mr. Alexander's house, where did you park your rental car?
I parked it in the same spot I always parked the car when I went to his house, which was the center spot in the driveway.
Do you recall there being other cars in the driveway?
I don't remember specifically. I wasn't really paying attention to that.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
When you pull up to the house, what do you do next?
Well, it was that time of the night, so I went around to the side, into the side entrance like I always went. Into the backyard, into the garage, and through the laundry room, and then into the house.
Okay. Did you have any luggage with you?
Yes.
And what did that consist of?
I brought a suitcase, a backpack, my purse, and my laptop.
And you say suitcase, is this a big suitcase, a small bag? What did you have with you?
It's a suitcase, but it's like a carry-on size. It's not really big.
When you went into the home, did you bring these items with you, or did you leave them in the car initially?
I think he came out and got them for me, so I just went inside.
What's that?
I just went inside.
Okay. When you arrived in Mr. Alexander's home, did you have a gun with you?
No.
Did you have a knife with you?
No.
You sit on a throne of lies.
You were
Check,
just telling
please.
us, you said you walked in the house through a side gate. Is that right?
No,
Yes.
it wasn't
backyard.
me. It was the one-armed
Was
man.
that typical of how you would enter the home?
Only at night because he locked the front door. I had a key, but I didn't have one this time because after moving back to Wairika, I took it off my key ring.
Okay.
I don't believe you.
Why wouldn't you just knock on the front door?
I had always just come and gone without knocking.
Mean
So,
that you can't answer?
especially when I
It's a
was
bullshit
expected.
question. It's impossible to answer.
It
Impossible.
was just easier to just walk in.
All right.
It's easier just to walk in. Just gonna walk in.
And what was, did Travis greet you at the door?
No.
Describe
know
for
you
us
were
what
there.
happened when you entered the home.
I came into the house and after leaving the laundry room, you go left and his office is on the right. So the light was on and the door was open. So I peeked in there assuming he was in there and he was.
Hello.
What was he doing?
He had his back to me and he was on his laptop watching music videos or something on YouTube.
Oh, I bet he was surprised.
Did he see you initially?
No.
Stupid is, stupid does, sir.
You were still expected in Utah about what, 11 that following morning?
I didn't name a specific time, just sometime Wednesday. That was my goal.
That would put us at 2.
But when you talked to
3
Ryan
a.m.
Burns,
my
you told him
time.
about 12 hours. Is that right?
I didn't know how long it would take to drive
Probably
to West
not.
Jordan, or if I would even stop on the way to see another place on the list first.
If I did this full time, sure.
You got to Mr. Alexander's home. He's in the office. You say watching YouTube videos, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is he by himself?
No, he's with Napoleon,
And Napoleon is whom?
his dog.
Saw Mr. Alexander on his computer sitting in his office with his back to you. Did you shoot him?
No.
Lift
Stab
up
him?
your
No.
head. Wash off your mascara.
What happened?
Here, take my Kleenex. Wipe that lipstick away.
I thought he looked cute sitting there at the computer and he was watching really dumb videos. He was just sitting there, so I just stood in the doorway looking at him for a minute. And Napoleon was laying down, so he didn't really notice me at first. And then after standing there for like maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute, Napoleon noticed me and he barked and came over and I petted him. And that's when Travis turned around and got up out of his chair and came over to greet me.
Greet you
You said
or say why?
silly videos. Could you describe these for us? Did you see them or?
To the best of my recollection, they were like people, but they had boxes or something on their heads or foil, some kind of foil all over their bodies and on their heads or something. I'm trying to remember the best as I can.
Okay.
No, you're not. That's
So-
ridiculous.
What happens when Mr. Alexander sees you there?
He got out of his chair and came over to the doorway. I was inside the room now, but just still standing by the door.
Okay. Without telling us what he said, does he say anything to you?
I would be.
Maybe he greets me.
Maybe.
I remember more what he did rather than what he said.
What's that?
I remember more what he did rather than what he said.
Well, did he
Well,
greet
what did he
you?
do?
He had a big smile on his face and he kissed me on the lips.
Would you
Why?
describe this kiss as a romantic kiss?
Definitely romantic.
Would it be a sexual kiss?
With his body language, in addition to that, maybe. Yeah, but
Oh.
the kiss was very warm and kind of sensual, but not overly passionate or anything.
She remembers that exactly.
When you
Not what he
said it was sexual based on his body language, what do you mean by that?
He had his hands around my waist, sort of on the top of my butt, and he was pulling me into his body.
At that point in time, did he say anything to you that indicated he wanted to have sex?
I don't recall anything specific at that moment in time.
Okay. So he greets you with this kiss and this contact. What happens next?
He wanted to show me more YouTube videos, so we watched some of those for a little while, and then we went into the living room.
YouTube and
He had
chill?
just gotten a brand new punching bag since I'd moved. I hadn't seen it.
Well, let's back up a bit.
Yeah.
These YouTube videos that he was showing you, you mentioned the people dancing with boxes in their head. Was it more similar videos or was it something different?
They were similar. I don't remember all of them.
And you mentioned this punching bag. Where was this located?
It was on the tile in the, I guess it would be called the family room or living room near the kitchen. It's all an open floor plan.
Okay. And well, tell us what happens when he's showing you this punching bag.
He was really proud of it, something he had just purchased, and he was punching it, showing off.
When he punched it, did that frighten you?
Oh, come now.
I mean, I think something had crossed the back of my mind, but he had been very nice, so I wasn't overly concerned about it, but he could punch it and send it flying a few feet over across the tile and then punch it, and he would follow it around the room and he could punch it that way. And it just kept moving and moving and moving.
What do you mean something in the back of your mind?
Because he's very strong.
What? But you also said, but he'd been very nice.
Right.
So when you saw him hitting this bag, was there a part of you that was scared?
Probably a little apprehensive, but he was in a good mood, so I brushed it off.
Okay.
Blah, 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 dee, blah,
So
blah.
after he punches this bag in the hallway outside the office, what happens next?
We went into the kitchen. I got some water. I wanted to go to sleep. I was exhausted from driving. So we stayed in the kitchen a few minutes. He seemed a little disappointed that I wanted to sleep, but not in a bad mood or anything.
Well, did he, while you were in the kitchen, did he indicate a desire to have sex with you?
Yes, insinuated. And it wasn't direct, but it was already implied.
Only in your head.
And
Only in your head, Jodi.
You, from what you're telling us, you didn't want to because you were too tired, right?
No, I wanted to go to sleep.
Okay. At the point in time when you're going to sleep, you mentioned your luggage. Where are all these items? Are they still in your car or they made their way into the house?
Eventually, they made their way into the house. I don't remember what point, but he went and got it for me.
Okay. Before you went to sleep?
Yes.
Okay. When you went to sleep, where were you? Did you and Travis sleep in the same room that night?
Dog
Yes.
Hebrews crime.
And which room was
Wow.
that?
His bedroom.
He's not waiting.
When you were interacting with Travis when you were in the home, did you ever get any indication from him whether or not anyone else was in the home?
After we went in the bedroom, I think I asked if his roommates were home because it's an indication of how quiet or how loud we have to be.
Based on that, was it your understanding that you were the only two in the home, Or were you of the understanding that his roommates might be home?
There was somebody else home, and I don't think all of his roommates were home.
Okay. So do you remember about what time you and Mr. Alexander went to sleep that morning?
Somewhere around 5:30. It was starting to just get light out a little bit.
Do you both, you said you slept in his bedroom. Did you both sleep on his bed?
Yes.
Do you remember who woke up first?
I did.
Do you remember about what time of the day that was?
I woke up around 12:30 and laid there for a while because he was still sleeping.
Okay. So Mr. Alexander was sleeping in the bed next to you, right?
Yes.
And your bags were in the home, right?
In the bedroom.
In the bedroom. Did you get up and grab a gun and shoot him?
No.
Did you grab a knife and stab him in the bed?
No.
What happened?
I laid there for a while with Napoleon, Travis sleeping, snoring very lightly, and then he woke up around 1 o'clock, and we got up at that point.
Okay. You say that you got up. You mean Travis woke up?
Yes.
How long, if you could estimate for us, were you awake before Travis woke up?
It felt like 20 or 30 minutes.
Okay. Apart from laying there with Napoleon, did you do anything else in those 20 or 30 minutes?
Just laid there, awake.
Okay.
I think I went to the bathroom or something.
Okay. So based on what you're telling us, if you woke up about 12:30, Mr. Alexander would have woke up around 1 in the afternoon. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Hi. Hello. Hello.
When he woke up,
I know.
what did you and Mr. Alexander do?
We engaged in sex.
When you say you engaged in sex, did Mr. Alexander, when he woke up, did he express a desire to have sex with you?
Yes. Not immediately. He got up, brushed his teeth, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Literally the only Sir Elton, that is camera shy.
When you went to Mesa,
His nonverbals were like, bro, not tonight.
did you have the expectation, or were you assuming that when you went there, that part of the activity would be to have sex with Travis?
Yes.
That is Sir Elton. Elton to his friends.
Why did you have that impression?
1.5?
Because it was just our thing at that time. It was pretty obvious. I wasn't going to go there, stay the night, and
Elton Broom.
not do that, I guess.
Why not? You weren't dating at the time.
I wasn't sleeping with anybody else at that time.
What do you mean by that? Because it doesn't necessarily mean that you had to be sleeping with him, does it?
No, but he was the only person I'd been with for the last 2 years, or almost 2 years. So it
If you can read them, they
still
tell a
felt
lot.
like,
In my job,
I don't know.
that's what I do.
Just something I was used to.
Something you were supposed to do?
Used to.
Did you feel like it was something you were supposed to do?
Yeah. I mean, since I'd showed up.
No.
Ms. Arias, a
Funny
few
idea.
moments ago, you were telling us about when you arrived at Mr. Alexander's home after 4:30 in the morning, that you went initially met Mr. Alexander in his office. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as entered as exhibit number 40. Is that the office to which you were speaking of meeting him?
Yes, the door would be to the right.
That's a nice dang desk.
And exhibit 36, is that also the same office?
Yeah, that's from the doorway where I was standing.
Okay, so the vantage point there is from the doorway, you walking in exhibit 36, and Mr. Alexander was seated with his back to you at the desk?
Yeah, there's a desk. Behind this desk, there's another desk, and he was at that desk.
Okay.
Right? No, I run a dog therapy program, and part of the job shadowing teams. And so I have to make sure the dogs are actually enjoying their job because animal welfare is number one.
Ms. Arias, I'm going to show you what's been entered as
Reading body language is pretty much a good
exhibit
chunk of
number
it.
33. You mentioned earlier a punching bag. Mr. Alexander punched in front of you and slid down the hallway. Is that the punching bag we're speaking of?
Yeah, he punched it around the room, not just the hallway.
Was it noisy when he did that?
It made a pretty big impact.
Okay.
I can't believe that thing
And Ms.
moved.
Arias,
It's more likely to fall over than to move.
before we took the break, we were speaking about the fact that when you woke up from your sleep, Mr. Alexander woke up, I should say, that the two of you had sex. Was it just a matter of having sex, or was there more to it than that?
Both, I guess. It just depends on, we had sex more than once that day.
Okay. Well, let's talk about,
Brag about it.
you said the more to it. What happened after he woke up and said that he wanted to have sex? What did you do?
No. The dogs
He
were
wanted to tie me up.
They provided.
Again, he had done that once before and it didn't work out. So it didn't work out because the rope he had was actually like a twine. It was very scratchy.
Rescue.
And it hurt my wrist.
All of
So
them.
he had a different rope this time that was a smooth rope. It was like a decorative rope. I don't really know how to describe it. It was green and gold.
Let me ask you this, in terms of description of it. Let me show you what's been marked as entered, as Exhibit 268. That look like the rope you're describing?
That is part of the rope, yes.
That is?
Yes, I would, yeah, it is.
Okay. And so we have a vantage point on this showing you Exhibit 269. That appears to be the stairs, some stairs, correct?
Yes,
Did Mr. Alexander have more than one set of stairs to his home, in his
No.
home?
just one set. Well, unless you count the steps, but
I
just
agree.
those.
And where did those stairs
Don't wanna do this
that we're saying in
all the
Exhibit
time.
269, where did they lead?
They led upstairs to the other 3 bedrooms. Well, there were 3 bedrooms and plus the master and the loft.
So Mr. Alexander's bedrooms as well as the other bedrooms. Is that right?
Yes, his is on the left at the top of the stairs.
What's that?
His is on the left at the top of the stairs.
Okay.
Nope.
So this rope, this smooth tannish rope that we just saw, he ties you up with it? Is that correct?
Actually,
He
That's
did.
the name.
He tied me up.
So good.
And when you said he tied you up, where did he tie you up?
The bed.
I think I've said Richmond. Virginia.
And
That thereabouts. That
what did
general
he,
vicinity.
did he tie you up to the bed, or just explain to us what he did?
No, his bed is a sleigh bed, so it doesn't have like posts or anything to tie the rope to. What he did is we measured out, it was a really long rope, it was all wound
Measured
up.
it out.
So we unrolled the thing, it was almost from the length of the bedroom into the bathroom, and he measured it out and cut it in the bathroom. And then he created 2 nooses at the end of the rope for my wrists and slid it behind the back headboard of the sleigh bed, so that when you pull it, it's like you're tied up. But the nooses weren't so tight that I couldn't slip out of them if I needed to.
Slip knot.
Did you want to be tied up?
It's not my favorite, but it's not unbearable.
He wanted to tie you up.
Yes.
And based on what you said, you could bear it, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
could.
I don't know. There's a lot that goes into that.
So when he ties you up,
Memberships are a big
are
one,
you clothed or
but
at all?
No.
there's a lot of math involved.
When he ties you up, is he clothed?
I don't remember when his clothes came off, but no.
Okay. He wasn't clothed when he tied you up.
I think he might have had
Be
his
quiet.
garments on, but his clothes came off.
And by garments, what do you mean garments?
The temple garments that are worn top and bottom. They're worn by some members of the church. They're worn all the time, typically.
So to your recollection, when he ties you up, he's wearing his sacred garments, right?
catch an incident, has an answer, she said yes.
I believe he was still dressed in those, yes.
Okay. So you're naked, you're tied to the bed,
Tell me lies. tell me
and just so we're clear as
little
well, are your legs bound or just your hands?
Just my wrists.
Okay.
I don't know about doomed, but definitely
What happens next?
not ever quitting my day job.
He wanted to give me oral sex.
He wanted to give you oral sex?
Yes.
Miss Arias, is this hard for you to talk about?
Catch and release.
Approach.
Judge said, do you really want to do this again?
Are these sexual subjects difficult for you to talk about?
Yes, this one particular.
What's that?
Yes,
But you said something else.
this one in particular,
Why?
because of how the day ended.
What sex got to do with it? What sex but Jodi's
So you say
only
that he wanted to
emotion?
perform oral sex upon you. Did you allow that?
Yes,
Why?
because we were doing that consensually.
Because why?
We were doing that consensually.
Right, I understand that. But given where you were in your relationship, why was that okay with you? Because it had happened before?
I guess because I was still monogamous when it came to who I was intimate with, and it was still the same person.
Did you not feel like you could say no?
I might have been able to, but that didn't really cross my mind.
You didn't want to incur his wrath, right?
Actually,
Were you scared of incurring his wrath?
Stretch.
I was more worried at that point about disappointing him. He seemed very happy to see me the night before, and I wanted to go along with what he wanted to do because
Maybe eventually.
Because what?
Not that I don't think we're there yet.
he liked those
have
things.
so many
And, I
generous
mean, typically I
here,
liked most of
but I
those
don't
things,
wanna-
but that's why.
I don't want to spread
Okay.
confused. Do you know what I mean? Like, you all are so awesome here that
So your wrists are bound and he
to be
performs
there
oral sex
seems like
upon
it
you.
doubles up on the same thing. That
Do
makes
any
sense.
other sexual acts take
I
place
just don't want to ask for money from
while
all
you're
over
tied to this bed?
I don't think that's Brandi and my thing.
No, I asked him to stop because he hadn't shaved and it was scratchy.
And did he stop when you asked him?
Yes.
After he stopped performing oral sex upon you, what happened next?
Oh, we ditched the rope idea because
Night.
I don't know, it wasn't doing anything for me. I don't know about him, but
Before you move too farther, you say you ditched the rope idea. What happened? What happened to the rope? How did you become untied from the bed, and what happened to the rope?
well, I was able to slip my wrists right out of it. So I did that. We took the rope from behind the headboard and tossed it on the carpet for the time being.
On the carpet near the bed?
I don't really remember, somewhere more toward the dresser.
This rope, when Mr. Alexander before he tied you to the bed, I think I neglected to ask, did he have to cut this rope?
Yes.
Did you observe him do that?
Yes.
I'll talk to
To your
Brandi.
recollection, where did he do that?
Let's see.
He cut the rope. He measured it out somehow in the bathroom because it was really long and I was holding one end in the bedroom. He rolled it out on the other end. And he cut the rope in the bathroom and then he tied me up after that.
Ooh.
You saw him cut the rope. How did he cut the rope? What did he use?
He used one of the knives from his knife block in the kitchen.
Do you recall once he cut this rope where he placed this knife?
It would have either been in the bathroom or maybe he brought it back to the nightstand.
You don't recall which?
I don't recall. It would have been one or the other, but I don't recall
Very
which
dramatic
specifically.
camera angle.
Okay.
There are a lot of gaps that day.
A lot
I'm
of
sorry,
gaps.
what was that last part?
There are a lot of things that I don't remember that day.
Okay.
Right. All of a sudden, a lot of gaps.
Moving back to the part of the story where he unties you or you ditch the rope, as I believe you said. What happens next?
Thank you, Amy.
At some point there are pictures, but we also had
a lot. Appreciate that.
regular sex also.
You said at some point there were pictures. Do you recall? And
We have like
before we go too
62
far, I should
dogs
say you said
and
regular
volunteers who own the dog.
sex. What do you mean by regular sex?
And I have like 50 who are interested.
Like regular vanilla sex.
Regular.
Like just vaginal regular sex.
Before COVID, we had 103
Nothing
teams.
too out of the ordinary, just normal, you know.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, do you recall if that was before or after the photographs that were taken?
I don't recall, but I think it was after. I'm pretty sure it was after.
All right, 9 minutes left. 12:30 is the cutoff.
I want to show you some of this photographs
I don't want the mods to have to stay up too much later. A lot of them
that
have
had
been doing this
previously
all
been
day.
admitted, beginning with
That's what she said.
Exhibit 168.
Oh, come on, Jodi.
Can you see that there in your
Yes.
monitor?
Yes.
Your hair, the hair on your head. How would you label that particular style?
Braids.
Why was your hair in braids
That's awesome.
that day?
He liked my hair in braids.
What was your understanding of why he liked your hair in braids?
Night.
He just said it was hot.
Diet Tears. Brought to you by My Pillow.
Showing you exhibit 164. Can you see that? Can you look at that? Is it hard to look at?
Objection.
Sustained.
I appreciate Court
What do you think
TV
about when you see that picture?
not having me have to switch camera angles.
Goes for a state of mind of the day.
Overruled. What a stupid idiot I was.
When you
Well,
were
you got that right. You are indeed
posing for that picture, I guess.
Stupid idiot.
You'd say. Was this something that you were comfortable doing?
It felt awkward.
What's that?
It felt awkward.
Why did you do it? Why did you participate?
He got a new camera that he was excited about and he wanted to play around with it.
The ultimate shade of
And
it
playing around
all.
with it meant taking these pictures?
no take pictures of Napoleon.
Yes.
Take pictures in the living
What
room.
was that, Miss Arias?
Yes.
Of the punching bag.
Referring to the picture, it appears
I've heard this.
there's no pubic
I
hair in
have
this
heard this.
picture. Why?
Travis didn't like hair. He didn't even like it on his own body.
So you removed it at his request?
Yes. I had a,
Objection. Sensitive question.
Even before you start, that was a preemptive shh. Just know I have a whole bag of shh with your name on it.
Showing you what's been entered as Exhibit 165. You take a look at that. Was it your idea to pose for that picture, or did Travis suggest that that take place?
he suggested all the poses.
Is that something you really wanted to do?
That was not my favorite part of the day. No, I didn't want to do that. But I mean, I didn't disagree.
5 minutes with a dog.
You
Depending on
didn't
who you
voice
are.
any disagreement. Would that be a more
Better
accurate way of putting it?
than 20 minutes of
Yes.
meditation. Research.
Showing you what's been marked Exhibit 169. Is this also a picture Travis suggested?
Yes.
And you complied with his suggestions?
Stupid is, stupid does, sir.
Would it be fair to say that he was directing you what to do and how to pose?
Yes.
And you did this, you posed in these positions. But why did you pose in these positions for him?
He asked me to.
That's it? That's all it took?
That's a good spot. I think when court TV breaks, and by that I mean undefined channel, it's a good time for us to take a break. And boy, oh boy, we're going to need a break. Wednesday's going to be a little difficult, everybody. We know what's coming up next, so if it's not for you, that is okay. We may get to cross. I'm thinking we're going to get to cross on Wednesday. Don't quote me on it, because I can't math. I didn't come here to math. I barely came here to read. If it's not 200 characters or less in the chat, I'm kidding. Just a joke. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, everybody, thank you so much. Thanks to Brandi for being here for the beginning. Thank you all for your support, for watching. Day court starts back up tomorrow at 8:45. Court starts at 9. And of course, night court will be back on Wednesday night. And I am about to probably record Sarah Payne as the sidebar and see if I can get that out to you all tomorrow. Hopefully. We'll see. Probably tomorrow evening. I want to make sure my writer has a chance to look at it before everybody else, and then I'll make sure that it goes up. Because you all been waiting for it for like 2 weeks now, and I just haven't had it. So I'm going to try and put that together tonight. So thank you so much. The best things to do are like, share, subscribe, hit the bell so that you get notifications when we go live. Most of you are already members. Spread the truth. Spread the truth. I don't know. Just spread the word. Let people know about us. It helps out immensely. And and we have a little announcement Wednesday night too. And I'm excited about that. It's important to me and Brandi. Hopefully it means a lot for you guys too. So thank you so much. I'm not going to drone on anymore. Everybody wants to go to bed, and make sure that you take care of yourself, take care of everybody else, your family, friends, and don't forget to smile. And court is adjourned. Bye, everybody.